to another reaction video with FL Valentine. Today we're gonna finish the video with Joe Davis versus Captain Tazaryach and a political debate on who's the worst in crime, black people or white people. I usually don't do these, but this one was interesting because it's Captain Tazaryach. He's a Hebrew Israelite from West One in Harlem, I believe. So definitely, it's always exciting when you have this guy. And if y'all think I'm lying, watch the No Jumper podcast. So we're gonna start right now where we left off at, and we might go a little bit back, just to don't miss any. What we call it? We don't miss any like spots that are really good. But we're gonna watch this whole thing actually, so don't worry.
So now, my next statement, you had made a point to say, I'm just trying to grab it real fast. You had made a point, God damn it. You had made a point about, give me 1 second, about, God, I lost it. So we can yield. I lost the point right there. We can go to the next subject.
That's okay. Go ahead, Joel. And he did mention Aboriginals.
Would you like to debate the Aboriginal thing? Because you keep bringing that up.
You did bring it
up. Pertinent to me personally.
Joel, I'm glad you said that. You made a point to bring up that you were a Roman Catholic, correct?
Correct.
So on the subject of crimes, which one is worse? I mean, goddamn.
This is what I'm gonna say, and let me make this larger. I'm sorry, I got it in a small joint, but this is what I'm gonna say. This part right here, it gets crazy, because this is why I think, and this is just a theory of mine, why Captain Tazaryach is friends with Whack 100. If you ever see my videos with Whack 100, if not, I'm gonna have to do it over again. But if we don't know Whack 100, Whack 100 likes to control people. He likes to troll people, and like all this other stuff that people say about them, we don't care. We care about what this nigga says right here, and it's fucking hilarious. But let's get back into it. This is how you know he's trolling the guy.
How many Roman Catholics molest kids and destroy kids?
And
because they was molested. And so now the Roman Catholic, they don't send them to jail. They put them in the Roman Catholic Witness Protection Program. They send them to Arizona, to the Archdiocese down in Arizona, to send them to another place. Now those are your own people. They sleep with your own race, molesting little boys because they believe you can't have sex. I'll never join nothing where a priest can't have. I'm a priest myself, and I'm going to have sex with women.
Look at Joe. Look at Ralph. Joe looks pissed right now. This motherfucker looks pissed, and he looked like he's about to. He looked like it's gonna be a very, very long show because he has another hour and a half, hour 40 minutes. And he ain't gonna like this shit all day. Watch. Because he's gonna start asking crazy questions. The shit that he said earlier, those were the fluffers. But Captain Tazaryach, he's about to put that heat on him a bit. Watch.
They don't want to have sex with
bro. Yeah, I'm sure. I understand that the Negro has no capacity for restraint. Probably has no capacity to control my dick, to be able to engage in celibacy for a higher spiritual purpose. I mean, that's quite clear.
Y'all have no control of your dick, that you won't put it in a pussy, but you'll put it in a little boy's ass. Right. You'll put it in a little boy's mouth.
Y'all niggas hear my boy? Y'all hear my man's in the background? What?
Down in Arizona to send it to another place. Now those are your own people. They sleep with your own race.
The Negro has no capacity for restraint. Probably has no capacity to control my dick, to be able to engage in celibacy for a higher spiritual purpose. I mean, that's quite clear.
How much control y'all don't have? Y'all have no control of your dick, that you won't put it in a pussy, but you'll put it in a little boy's ass. Right. You'll put it in a little boy's mouth. So when you talk about crimes, the Roman Catholic Church is the most disgusting thing that has ever been called of God. There's nothing. And when you think about God, first of all, the Pope is considered God on earth. So when you talking about when you talk about God,
the Pope is not considered God on earth. That's not true.
If we talking about God, worshiping God, obeying God, keeping the commandments of God, tell me where God ordained fucking little boys.
Obviously, I oppose. I would want all pedophiles immediately executed.
What do you do? No, not just any pedophiles. Your bishops. Yeah,
I think they should every bishop who actually is a pedophile should be executed.
What do you do? Do you go out and speak against the Roman Catholic Church?
I speak against pedophilia. Yes, I do. I do speak against pedophilia frequently. So it's such a basic thing. Obviously, I oppose that.
Top of the Roman Catholic Church to the bottom.
Yeah, there's problems. There's problems in the church. No. I think it's overstated, but nevertheless, there are problems in the church.
I'm not talking about problems. Let's say if you have an organization, let's say you got a 50-man organization, just a 50, and you put rules in place that they're supposed to adhere to. Anybody can break those rules. We agree, right? Anybody can break them, right? Like you can have rules and it's up to you to exact a punishment, right?
Correct.
They don't punish them for molesting kids. They just relocate them to molest more kids. And that's your spiritual belief. Your spiritual belief of God comes from niggas that have no control of their dick. You try to say black people don't have control of their dick.
My belief comes from Christ. My relationship with Christ. And the fact that there are pedophiles that have infiltrated the church and have used the church to facilitate their pedophilia does not mean that my faith in Christ is in any way impacted.
One nigga in the chat room, motherfucker said a nigga audio. Come on, Cap, man, what's going on? Get your shit fixed, man, because you doing awesome. And also, don't forget to please like and subscribe. But we're going to get back into the show as well.
Then when I point out how white people or your priests are putting their dicks in little boys, do they have control of their dicks? Because they're not supposed to have sex. They're not supposed to have sex, period.
Correct.
And that's how you know that that's demonic. Because when they get the urge to have sexual acts,
pedophilia is clearly demonic. But the idea that all Catholic priests are pedophiles is just ridiculous.
I tell you what, we can take it off of them. You know, it's called the Roman Catholic. So if we was to go back to Rome or Greek days, they had something called pederasty.
Oh no!
You know what pederasty is, right?
I mean, I thought we were going to talk about the Aboriginals. Now you're going on about pederasty and ancient.
Yo, you see Ralph? Yo, Ralph ain't even right. Honestly, I'm going to say this. I think Ralph set this nigga up. I think Ralph set fucking Joel up. Joel wasn't ready for this shit, man. All jokes aside, he wasn't ready. Look at him. The man's struggling right now. He's fumbling and stumbling right now.
Ancient Rome, like what is this?
We talk about crimes. You know what pederasty is, right?
If you want to look at the statistics,
let me look it up.
African Americans are more homosexual than white Americans. So if you want to look at who's the greatest sodomite, who's fucking more niggas in the ass, it's niggas, okay?
Hey, look at him getting to this feelings.
The niggas bad. The niggas bad. This is a bad Australia right here. This is a bad fucking kangaroo right here. Let's go back. Watch, he's bad. This is how you know he's bad.
But the idea that all Catholic priests are pedophiles
is called about pederasty.
Talk about the Aboriginals. Now you're going on about pederasty and ancient Rome. Like, what is this?
We talk about crimes. You know what pederasty is, right?
If you want to look at the statistics,
let me look it up.
African Americans are more homosexual than white Americans. So if you want to look at who's the greatest sodomite, who's fucking more niggas in the ass, it's niggas, okay?
Hey, look at him getting to this feelings. When they say the N-word, when they say the word nigga, listen, you can say nigga all you want. Because every time I have a conversation, And white people say nigga, it's always online. It's never in my face. So saying nigga, that's not gonna make me go crazy.
Well, you keep saying it. So if you can say it, why can't I say it?
You can say, listen, America has freedom of speech. So you using that word is not gonna, I know his tactic was, now pull out the N-word. I'm gonna call him a nigga. That's gonna get him thrown off. No, nigga, we gonna read the definition of pederasty. That's what we about to do. Pederasty, sexual activity involving a man and a boy in his youth. And the Romans and the Greeks practiced this vehemently, where they would take that little boy and he was the one that he would have sex with. Like in that movie 300, they used to make the women dress as the goddamn centurion because he didn't even want to have sex with his woman. He wanted to have sex with the little boy till the little boy got about 16, 17 years old. And then now you throw him away and get another little boy. And so that's where the Roman Catholic Church, who claim they're of God, which they're not, that's satanic, they're founded off of that same principle. Remember, we're talking about crime. And you already said pedophilia is wrong. So is pederasty wrong? Is pederasty wrong? Come on, man. Type the keyboard.
Yeah, obviously it's wrong. I mean, what even is this? Like, you're just wasting my time with this nonsense.
Now, is this not a crime? Isn't it?
What even is this?
With a society,
are you telling me that black people, there's no black pederasts, that only white people are pederasts? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Obviously, that's false.
I never said that.
So then what's your point?
My point is, y'all are the fathers of it. Remember, I said you have fathers.
I doubt it.
You have fathers and you have sons. Y'all are the fathers of pederasty, homosexuality, raping. We learned all of that from you guys. That's my point.
It's all our fault.
When we talking about crime, that's crime. Society is good.
I mean, you have no evidence for that. You're just saying like, all these terrible things that black people do.
Can you prove me wrong?
It's because they're imitating white people. I mean, like, it's just baseless. It's just baseless nonsense.
When y'all brought us over here in the transatlantic slave trade, did y'all not stop us from reading? Did y'all not take our spirituality away? Did y'all take?
So you're telling me back in Africa there was no homos? Everybody in Africa was just like totally moral. No one was raping or killing or
whatever they was doing,
or sodomizing anybody. Everybody in Africa was just this totally moral, bastion of humanity. And then they sold their own people into slavery to foreigners.
Joe's getting mad because you could tell, and the reason why, because the motherfucker's getting aggressive. Once he starts getting aggressive, this is how you know he's getting mad.
But
and then now it's the white man's fault. Now it's the white man's fault.
Oh yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
Come on, my nigga. Like, don't be like that. Don't be like that. Remember,
yo, when black people like, come on, my nigga, don't be like that. It's like, okay, I'm gonna tell you a situation. When we say stuff like that, it's, nigga, we don't want you to get up in your feelings and stuff, because at the end of the day, we just joking around, or like, yo, I'm just telling the truth. Like, my nigga, don't be like that, you know? It just be, yo, all black people say that shit. And I don't know if it's just, I think it's inherited in us. Don't be like that. You don't hear no other race say that. Only black people. Don't be like that. What? Hold on.
Come on, my nigga. Like,
now it's the white man's fault.
Oh yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
Come on, my nigga. Like, don't be like that. Don't be like that. Remember, y'all took away our very identity, our essence of being, and you replaced it with your way of life. So whatever we was doing when we was taken out of the West,
that was clearly a mistake. I don't think that was a good thing. I think it would be much better if you guys were left where you were to have your own way of life.
That's what I'm gonna call you. I just renamed you. You're gonna be called my nigga Joel. That's what you're gonna be called. My nigga Joel, you are right. It was not a good idea for y'all to bring us over here. But when you did, no matter what we was listening to, no matter what we was following, no matter what culture, no matter what practices, you guys took it all away. And we only had you to look at. And in observing you, we have watched you molest, we have watched you rape, we have watched you murder, we have watched you steal. So when you say, where do we learn this and this all the white man's fault? If you're going to be great and get great off the benefit of slaves, you also have to take the blame for what
people have been free for almost 200 years, and you keep getting worse.
What does that mean?
Not better.
What does that mean? Let me give you an example of freedom. When the Jewish people destroyed Hitler, killed that nigga. That's another nigga. They killed that nigga. Killed him, destroyed the Germans, got them out the way. You know what they knew? They knew that they couldn't leave the Jewish people next to the Germans because there would be no way for them to actually be free and liberate themselves. Black people have never been free. We've been told you're no longer slaves, but if we was free, as we was building those cities without bothering you, so now we go, I can give you the list of black cities if you ever want them. As we was going and establishing our black cities, we wasn't bothering y'all. We was fine. Segregation, and I'm pretty sure you agree with this, my nigga Joel, but with segregation was the best thing that we could ever have, because segregation didn't mean that we had no interaction at all, but it did mean that your way of life was your own, our way of life was ours. Your education was your own, our education was ours. We would have to deal with each other economically, of course, but you know what the problem was? Y'all saw us beginning to whoop y'all ass economically, socially, educationally, in every single facet, which is why y'all had to resort back to what you know best, and that's murdering, that's drugs, that's the abortion, that's infiltration. And the only thing I can't defend is that uppity black niggas decided to side with y'all. I wish they didn't. I wish.
Well, you're here talking to me. I'm a representative of a racialist white viewpoint.
This nigga want to say, yeah, I'm just racist. I don't. Yo, Joe, it's all right to say you don't like black folks. All jokes aside, it's all right to say it. Nigga, we don't take offense to it, because at the end of the day, 9 out of 10, most of these black folks don't like y'all, especially Australians and Europeans. You know, it's just, I wouldn't even say hate y'all. Niggas just don't like to be around a lot of people. I'm not saying myself. I interact with everybody. I'm a more of a sociable type of person, but this is the type of, a lot of black folks don't want to be, especially the people who was born in the 1960s and the 1970s. And the reason why is because, like, I'm being honest, it's just, they don't like them. The people who, put it this way, people who've been in the 1960s and the 1970s, they've been through a lot of bullshit with white people, you know? And you got to look at it. What did they pass on to their kids? What their kids pass on to their kids? You know, what I pass on to my kids? I always tell my kids, yo, be careful with these folks. Like, I have to, because not everybody's your friend. Even when black folks, I'll be like, yo, be careful with this fool. You know? It is what it is, you know? Everybody's out. Most people are just out for their race. It's just black people, we try to be cool with everybody, but you can't be cool with everybody. You know, we always have to be aware, because we lose a lot more than anybody else.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to find common ground on someone who agrees that you guys should have your own communities that support segregation, that says, you know, we should get rid of the abortion and the drugs and the crime and live a noble Christian life, well, we actually agree on all of those things. So instead of pointing your finger and blaming, don't you think that's kind of interesting that when you talk to people with my viewpoint, that actually you could find a common ground that you can't find with a white liberal, you can't find with a Jew.
I love Ralph's channel. I love Ralph's channel because the one thing we do agree on is that principle. I'll be surprised sometimes Ralph let me say the shit I get to say. Dead ass. Like Ralph lets me get busy on here. That's why I love coming in here and everything. But now, although we agree on that core principle, does not mean we ignore the history. So I'm not asking you. So my nigga Joel, I'm not asking you to ignore. A sidebar, Ralph. You know I nickname every white guy every time we have a debate. There's always a nickname.
I have noticed that. Yes.
So Joel, your nickname is my nigga Joel. That's his nickname. Goes down in the Hall of Fame. So Joel, when you go on another platform, you're gonna say Captain Tazaryach of the ISBK.
I'm not a nigga, unfortunately. So
you are my nigga Joel. You definitely are.
Go ahead,
but you are my nigga though. You my nigga.
I think there's only one nigger in this conversation.
All right, gentlemen, please bring it down a notch on that one. Go ahead.
I'll bring it down.
Go ahead.
You ever seen Training Day, my nigga? So all right, that's the last one. That might be the last one.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
So although we haven't shared that core principle, it does not mean that we negate what this.
Yo, I just have a theory. I think everybody should say the word nigga, but at the end of the day, I think we need to give it a new definition. Let it mean what it really means. Someone who's ignorant, somebody who's disrespectful, uneducated, to say, yo, you're a nigger. You know, like white person acting crazy and stuff like that. I saying uneducated stuff like, yo, you're acting like a nigger. That's just my theory. That's just my theory. And I hope people don't get offended, but some of y'all white people, we acting like niggas. Nah, nigga, a nigger. Yeah, I think white people should be able to say it. Like, yo, you acting like a nigger. Like, I'm gonna give y'all a person that I think acts like a nigger all the time. Actually, she's white. I mean, she's black. No. Not he, she. I mean, a white dude. Person who be acting like a nigger is, Morgan Pirate. What's his name? Pirate Morgan or something like that. He be acting like a nigger sometimes. He act like he knows everything and stuff like that. And the nigga be coming out looking stupid and undereducated. You know, he does look uneducated. I'm not gonna lie. He look like he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and he's just making up shit. Oh, if he can say it, well, I can. That's some nigger shit, not some nigger shit. Nigger shit. You are a nigger. You act like a nigger, and I think, well, you know what? If these white people want to say this word, let's say what the definition really is. And uneducated, stupid, disrespectful people. You know? Like, this might sound crazy and this might be stretching it a little bit, but it's like, yo, you're wrong and you're a nigger. I mean, you're a very ignorant, uneducated imbecile. I think it will work. I told you this is why I said I think I'm stretching it, but I think it will work. Oh, jokes aside.
Blood sport is about. This is a blood sport. If we was having, let's say, if we ever had another conversation, which I'm not against, right? And we had a conversation where we said, well, let's have a conversation or discussion about common grounds or commonality or anything that's not a debate. I would gladly have it. It's not a problem. I can go into any space, have any conversation. I don't get offended. But if we having a blood sport about black crime versus white crime, which is worse, I have to I expect you to totally substantiate your position as I mine. And so far, I'm clearly substantiating. That Roman Catholic, that damn near was like the headshot. That's what that was. That was a headshot because there is no.
Well, not really.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't a headshot at all.
Roman Catholics cannot control their dicks. Now, whether you want to say black, no, they can't. No, they can't. They don't control their dicks.
All right, now let him. Hold on. Let's let him respond. Go.
Tell me how they
the Catholicism is a religion built around, in many respects, controlling your dick. Now, many people fall short of the glory of God because man is fallen and so on. But nevertheless, that is really the essence of if you're a true Catholic, if you're actually practicing, and you're a true Catholic, you're not some like weird communist that's LARPing as a priest, but you're truly practicing Catholic, then you're controlling your dick.
Yeah, but what I showed was a cultivated culture from the time of the Greeks and the Romans with pederasty that was just transitioned into the Roman Catholic Church. What the Roman Catholic Church provided is for all those nasty ass homosexuals, white homosexuals, was an avenue where they can molest kids in the name of what they say is God and then get away with it. And nobody says nothing because me speaking personally, like I'm an Israelite.
Nobody says nothing. There's literally nothing, no scandal that's more talked about than pedophilia in the Catholic Church. It's literally the most mainstream position. Everybody just presumes that it's true, who doesn't even research it because it is proliferated as this constant slander and meme throughout our society. And this slander is actually advanced quite often by Jewish sources, Protestant sources, anti-Catholic sources. It is actually well overblown. If you look into the statistics, you're far, far more likely to be molested in the public school system than you are by a Catholic priest. Far more.
Tell me what happens to the Catholic priests when they molest kids. Can you just tell me what happens?
There are priests that have gone to jail for the crime.
Who? So I want to know that. Teach me this shit. Come on.
I'll just Google it, I guess.
Yeah, Google.
I don't have any.
That's probably the best God y'all got. Go ahead and Google that shit, man. Can I still call you my nigga Joel? Is that okay?
I wish we would not do that because it leads to another version of that word being said, and I'd rather we keep it at the limit.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up here. You know, West Australian Catholic priest Richard Doyle. He wasn't a pederast. It was a little girl, apparently. This is in Australia. I'm just kind of scrolling through.
Jesus Christ.
What about over here? Oh, well, you know what? I don't want to. I strike that back. I don't want to just focus on America. I apologize for that.
I mean, American. I don't know.
What? Yeah, what you got?
Michigan priest sentenced to prison for sexual abuse of second grader.
Let me see if I got anything on this. Let me see if
Archdiocese of Detroit. A priest of the Archdiocese of Detroit has been sentenced for the rape of an elementary student at a Catholic school attached to the parish. He served as pastor in the mid-2000s. So there you go. There's an example. I mean, what you think? Like none of these people actually.
One out of millions. Roman.
Well, it's not one out of millions. You asked me to find an example. I found you an example. So there you go. But the basic premise that, you know, the reality is of the world today is that every powerful institution is infested with pedophiles, with all kinds of depraved individuals. We live in a very sick society. You look at government, all government institutions are full of these sick freaks as well. It's not a problem that is specific to the Catholic Church.
Who created that?
Now white people are only responsible. There is plenty of pederasty and pedophilia that happens in black communities and in Africa as well. It's a universal human problem. It's not specific to white people. In fact, if you look,
question like if I just Google how many children did the church?
Do you have any kind of data that demonstrates that it's a greater problem in white communities or white societies relative to black communities and black societies? Do you actually have any evidence to support that position? Because if you don't, then we can just dismiss it as just conjecture.
No. My job is to show how you're more violent. Your job is to show how I'm more violent. You want me to help you. So, like, if I read this, come on, my nigga Joel. I'm sorry, Ralph. I apologize. More than 450 Catholic clergy members across 6 Illinois-based. This is just 6 Illinois-based dioceses. 450 sexually abused nearly 2,000 children during a period spanning 7 decades. That's just in 6 Illinois-based dioceses. So now that's 2006 in one state. How many states is it? I don't want to get that wrong. It's 50 states.
Yeah.
50 times 2,000 is what? Who knows? 100,000? 100,000.
Here's an article from The Guardian. The headline, this is from 9 years ago.
Right.
Pope Benedict VI defrocked nearly 400 priests for child abuse. Priests were defrocked over 2 years for molesting children. I think he did this. He was a part of a kind of task force within the church engaging in this behavior prior to becoming pope, or maybe it was during his early papacy.
You probably should have studied. And how much money have they paid?
Well, I thought we were debating black versus white crime, not like pedophilia in the church.
Them ain't no. I was about to say the wrong word. Them ain't black people. Them is white people. And that's a crime. Unless you're telling me this ain't a crime.
I didn't say it wasn't a crime. I said, can you provide me evidence that in the black community they have less of this going on?
My job?
Yeah, it is your job. That's what the debate is about.
We're not on the same team, NJ. We're not on the same team. I'm gonna call you MNJ. I can get away with that, right, Ralph? MNJ?
I don't know what that means, but
my nigga Joel.
Okay, all right. Well, I go ahead and
Cap, man. Stop fucking with people. Joel's already lost. He's already a defeated soul right now. Now you fucking with Ralph. Ralph is enjoying it, but this is a great show. That's what I'm gonna say. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask a couple questions in a minute.
It's not my job. We not on the same team, MNJ. It's not my job to help you find information against black people.
It's your job to find information. Do you understand what a relative judgment is? To have a relative judgment, you need to find an objective metric to determine the difference between the prevalence in the black community or black countries and the white community, white countries. So if you don't have that data, that means you don't have a point. Right, that's how this works. That's how objective reasoning works. You have to have support for your position with evidence. You need to then materialize that evidence. Otherwise, you're just engaging in conjecture. You're just cherry picking examples. I could just go and look at all these black people that are raping and murdering and so on. It wouldn't get us anywhere.
I can counter it. That's a difference.
What do you mean?
Here's what
are you telling me? There's no black murderers. There's no black rapists. There's no black pedophiles. Well, exactly. So I could cherry pick these kinds of things. If you don't have an actual basis in empirical data, then you don't have a point.
Gotcha.
Right?
I'm gonna show you.
Surely you can at least agree to that.
Before we get the data, I just want to highlight the Catholic dioceses across the United States have paid more than $3 billion to victims of clergy abuse. Not $3 million. $3 billion.
Well, good. They should pay them. They should be paying them
for the crimes they commit in an alarming rate, at a Holocaust rate. I probably should have said that word, but at a genocidal rate. Remember, the debate is which crime is worse. So you would have to admit that y'all do that crime worse.
Why would I say worse? You don't have any evidence to support the position that it is worse than black crime in that respect, because you haven't provided any data or any metric to compare.
Can you show any data? Can you show any data?
I don't need to show data. You're the one that's substantiating this claim. I can show data when it comes to rape, when it comes to murder, and so on. The official data.
So you want to switch? Do you want to switch to that? We can switch to that because you need a lifeline or something. You need something.
I don't really need a lifeline. I mean, you're just
that Roman Catholic
based upon no actual material evidence.
I would have never.
I mean, it's well known. The data is well known in the fact. I think in the 2021 data, 60.4% of the known race of murderers, of known murderers, where we know the race of the murderer. 60.4% of them in the United States were black, even though they make up only 13% of the population.
Now, do you have the stat line for that?
Yeah, that's from the official 2021 FBI statistics.
Oh, that's arrest data, though.
Wasn't this the guy who said he didn't believe in? I forgot about the last. If you've seen part one, you might. Actually, I'm not gonna get into it because if you didn't see part one, maybe you should watch part one first.
You do know that, right? Like, I'm a smart dude. See, Ralph, I didn't say the word you thought I was gonna say. I'm smart. You know that's arrest data. And why?
Well, if they don't know, if there's someone who's been killed and they don't know who killed them, then obviously they can't be racially.
Now wait, let me ask a question. Are you saying that means that white people are getting away with murder and not getting charged, Captain? Is that what you're trying to say, or?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because I do think y'all get away with murder.
Well, that's why I asked. I thought you might say that, but yeah, go ahead.
I'm not getting to that.
You're not actually providing anything objective. Like, I'm looking at the fact of all the murders that we have solved. It's not that white people can't go around. The majority of people who get murdered, by the way, get murdered by members of their own race. So this idea that whites aren't arresting whites for killing whites. Right. Like, what would even be the point of that? It's just ridiculous.
The statement that you made would murder more, according to the FBI, but that's just arrest information. That's not conviction information. And here's the thing about that. This is NPR.org. Wrongful convictions disproportionately affect Black Americans, report show. Now, before I read this, the reason why I'm saying it's arrests and not convictions. In New York City, where I'm at right now, they had this thing, which probably still exists, called stop and frisk. Stop and frisk was a procedure where they specifically targeted Blacks and Latinos and arrested them for anything because they needed to bump up the numbers, of course, to get more support. So although they was getting arrested for things that they weren't actually committing, but it just bumped up the money that they would get. That's why this article, it says the exoneration report has some disturbing numbers on the rate of exonerations. Black people represent 13.6 of the population, but account for 53% of exonerations in the registry.
Well, they also account for 60% of convictions. So it would make sense if you're getting the majority of the convictions, you're also going to get the majority of the exonerations, because that would just be logical.
I got you, but you're making my point. Being arrested for something does not mean you're guilty for it, and they're getting arrested.
We're talking about convictions. We're not talking about arrests.
No, wait. Before you can get convicted, you got to get arrested. Come on, M&J. Get it together. You can't get convicted.
Yeah, well, obviously, but we're talking about convictions and you're talking about exonerations.
No.
What you're saying, well, if we got 60% of the convictions are Black and 50-something% of the exonerations are Black, that would be proportional. That would actually be proportional relative to when we're looking at the overall, amount of convictions here. Right. A lot of people who get exonerated, by the way, probably did kill the individual, but they just can't prove it.
Well, it doesn't say that.
Nevertheless.
But my point is, what are they getting exonerated from? They're getting exonerated from of what they were falsely arrested for. So you can't use the FBI data, which represent arrests, because just because they got arrested.
FBI data represents convictions.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does not.
Well, we might have to look that up. I thought it was convictions, but I don't know for sure. I think it is, but I don't know. I'd have to double check. There's a link for it somewhere.
I mean, you can always pull it up.
Yeah, I was about to say there's a link for it. You know what? I'll look for it and I'll pull it up and I'll let you know.
Yeah, don't the Bible say prove all things? Catholic?
Yes, I'll look for it myself.
So now,
but anyway, it's not really a point, because if we do have a disproportionate amount of convictions, then you're going to have a disproportionate amount of as I said, of exonerations, because it's just an organic and natural ratio that you would expect. If you have way more convictions, but then you have exactly the equal amount of exonerations, that would be strange.
Okay, so here's why that's not exactly true.
In fact, what it actually proves is that Black people aren't targeted by the legal system. If they are represented in exonerations almost equally to their representation in convictions, that means out of all the Black people arrested for the crime, about a pretty similar ratio relative to whites are getting either convicted or not convicted. If they were all getting convicted and no one's getting exonerated, that would mean maybe you could make the argument, oh, well, the system is kind of racist because everyone's getting convicted. As soon as a Black man comes before the court, we've got all these exonerations. That's actually proving that the justice system is hearing the cases fairly. No, because it's exonerating all of these Black people that have been accused of various crimes.
I would disagree. And it's not that they commit more crimes. You guys commit more crimes, but you also are more people, so that makes sense. That's why the article points out we're only 13.6 of the population. So from a numbers perspective, you guys would probably always have more numbers than us because there's more of you. So what the point that I'm talking about is the fact that they're getting exonerated for things that they didn't do lets you know that they're not the criminals that they're set out to be. Right.
What about the convictions? You're like taking this isolated fact out of the context of the convictions. It's proportional to the convictions. So it doesn't actually make any sense. This is just a totally
You're getting exonerated from what you were convicted of. You're not getting exonerated from an arrest. You're getting exonerated from being found guilty of a crime that you did not do.
There's a certain amount of exonerations that are going to occur. If you have one group that represents the majority of the convictions, it's logical that they're going to represent the majority of the exonerations. It's just simply a basic ratio.
Hey, Joel, I think, there's a phrase always used. It's called listening is an art.
There's a phrase that I always use, which is called...
That shit's a skill, too. Most people can't listen. I know a lot of niggas that can't listen. It's like if I say something, they won't listen to it. They'll just start talking about what they want to talk about. You know? I think it's a dope skill too. Just listening. Yeah, it's just a lot of people can't do it. Everybody wants to get their point and think they're gonna win. I tell niggas all this, I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you this because, this is the information that's given. But let's get back.
Be rational. What you're doing right now is you're being irrational.
I'm not being
my point is perfectly reasonable. You would expect it to be proportional between these two things. There's only a certain amount of convicted felons in a particular category.
I never said your point wasn't reasonable. I didn't even say I disagree with your point. I disagree with anytime you say that our crimes are worse, I'm going to always disagree with you. On this subject, I didn't say I didn't disagree with you. What I pointed out was, first, in New York, they have a law called stop and frisk, where they specifically targeted blacks and Hispanics. That is facts that you cannot get around that.
Yeah,
they was locking them up for things.
Yeah, but why would they bring in that law to target blacks and Hispanics? It's because blacks and Hispanics commit more crimes. And so they needed those laws specifically to deal with a more criminal population.
No, they did not. No, that's not true. It's not just budget, but what it's about is, remember,
blacks get targeted because they're more violent, they're more criminal. So it's logical to target them if you don't like crime.
Why are you so touchy?
I'm not touchy. I'm just making the point. It's all internally consistent.
That's not true. So again, the question I asked you was, do you feel that America specifically targets?
Yo, one thing I'm going to say about Cap. Cap gets you very comfortable. He gets you very, very comfortable where you think you're going to win. Actually, let me get this shit out. I'm going to fix this later. So, Cap gets you comfortable where you think this is going to be a great like show, but you forget it's a debate. And Cap's going to start. He gets you little by little, where you'd be like, yo, I did not know it's going to be a debate like this. Because sooner or later, you're going to be like, yo, I don't know what I'm talking about. But also, please like and subscribe to the show. And we're going to have more reactions, too, so no worries. Oops, sorry.
Targets black people and not other races, because other races are not getting targeted. Chinese people, we got a Chinese mafia. Chinese people do things.
Chinese people, they don't commit crimes like blacks do.
Chinese people sell drugs. They don't commit crimes like white people, but y'all don't get locked up like we do. You can't even make that argument. This ain't about black people not committing crimes. You never heard me say that. So don't try to push the narrative. But what this is about is that your government facility in the land called America has a prejudice against black people. That is facts. Whether I brought up the
facts, you're committing more crimes than it's like you target criminal populations.
We're committing more
crimes. You have a bunch of black gangbangers walking around with their pants sagging and pumping gangster rap and selling drugs and being violent. Then obviously they're going to become profiled because that's what a criminal behaves like.
I don't think Joe ever heard of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was our president, but he was the biggest kingpin of all times, I believe. I personally really believe that. You know, and the reason why I believe it is look how much drugs he put in fucking California to fund the Nicaragua war. Like this was true, and the CIA helped. CIA and probably FBI. Like I remember I told this guy at my job that he a big Ronald Reagan fan. He thought Ronald Reagan was the greatest president of all time. And I told him, I'm like, yo, Ronald A. Reagan was a drug dealer. What? No, he wasn't. He was the greatest president ever. No, nigga was a drug dealer. I was like, he was the reason why his wife put out the program Say No to Drugs. They thought they were going to get more money, but the shit went crazy. It did. It got out of hand. That whole joint got out of hand because it started getting into the suburbs. And they thought it was just going to stay in the urban. And these suburban kids is coming to the urban parts to get drugs, as they do today. Look at the fentanyl crisis. Most people who do fentanyl and all this other stuff are white. They come into the white area. They come into the hood areas and they get drugs. You know, I used to work at a homeless shelter, and this is how I know. Most of them are in the homeless shelter, doing drugs or they on some type of shit. And I'm gonna tell you this is why it's a big situation now because at those times, you know, they thought it was gonna stay. This is why I say it's all Ronald Reagan's fault. And you know what the guy said? Well, it was Nancy's fault because Nancy Reagan, she knew he was like senile or he had dementia. He thought he was trying to think of everything to defend Ronald Reagan. I don't know why Ronald's so great, you know, but that's for him. You know, if he likes it, he likes him. I'm not gonna tell the nigga not to like him, but you know, let's get back.
So listen, this how you know gangster rap is stupid. That white boy watched the movie, went to see Batman, and shot everybody up in the movie theater.
Oh no!
Like, what are we talking about here? Prove you said I can't just talk, even though when I talk, I.
Yo, there was really a guy who shot up. There was the guy who really shot up a movie theater. I think it was in Colorado. He thought he was a joker. Nigga lost his.
More crimes than it's like you target criminal and pumping gangster rap and selling drugs and being violent.
That's how you know gangster rap is stupid. That white boy watched the movie, went to see Batman, and so listen, this how you know gangster rap is stupid. That white boy watched the movie, went to see Batman, and shot everybody up in the movie theater. Like, what are we talking about here? Prove you said I can't just talk, even though when I talk, I brought up the information. So bring up the information that we're killing more than y'all. Bring it up.
The information is in the convictions data.
What also want to
60% of the murder
So he brought up about rap. To me, the greatest rapper of all times is Eminem. And people always get this. Everybody always gets mad when people say this. Eminem cannot be a hip hop lyricist, and the reason why, because hip hop lyricism is like journalism. It was all about black culture. It's about like the dancing and all that other stuff. But the big part of it was about rhyming, the struggles and the culture of black culture. Eminem put his own genre into it. I personally, and it was no shot to Eminem. I don't think it was no shot to Eminem. But I think Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time. Influential rapper, but hip hop lyricist, no. He can't be hip hop because only thing it gets crazy because at the end of the day is Like, yeah, you can get help and all this other stuff, but once you have niggas writing your shit and all this other stuff, you're not a hip hop lyricist no more. You're just a rapper. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the components that Eminem has into his lyrics makes him not a hip hop lyricist. Rapper, yes, he's the greatest rapper of all times. And this might sound different. I mean, uh, it might sound crazy, or it might sound like people are disrespecting him. No, it's honest, it's true honesty. Like, let me tell you something. What people are saying now about Eminem, Lil Jamar been saying this shit like 5 years ago. You see all this like that Lil Jamar got. This nigga responded to Lil Jamar. He was like, "Yo, we're not saying Eminem is not dope. Eminem is dope, but you have to understand, Eminem, Eminem, Eminem should be in his own genre. He can't. Eminem is not hip hop, just as Bubba Sparks is not hip hop. They're rappers. Rapping and hip hop is two different things. A lot of people, it's not even hip hop. They're not even in that genre. And 9 out of 10 is because they don't write their own music. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just you're not hip hop. But if we're gonna change the rules, you got to be like, okay, you know what? All that. This is what we have to say. We got to leave black journalism and black culture out of it. But nobody's not doing that. There's rules to everything. And even if it's the Bird and Magic era, even if it's the MJ era, even if it's the LeBron era or the Kobe era, there's rules. We can't be like, okay, you know what? Let me clothesline like 50 niggas, then come in here and say like, yo, this nigga FL Valentine, yo, he's the greatest basketball player ever. Even though I just clothesline like 50 niggas. Like, really? Like, really? I really. Like, it's. There's rules you just have to follow. And, like, Eminem has his own genre. It's nothing wrong. Why can't we just celebrate him and say, like, yo, this nigga is the greatest rapper, but when it comes to hip hop, no, he's not hip hop. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And I don't want to say it's just because the white's kicking in with Eminem, and it's making him look bad because it's making him look like he can't take criticism. Because he's not hip hop, he's rap. He's the greatest rapper of all time, I believe. Or it's second because you got Biggie, but Andre. But the thing about that's why I was listening to those other songs when he was naming all the top rappers: Nas, Jay Z, Tupac, Biggie, and he's like, "Where do I fit in and stuff?" Those niggas is hip hop lyricists. The person the closer who's not to being hip hop lyricist is probably Big. Because I'll put Ice Cube over Biggie. It's because Big has more albums. I mean, Cube had more albums. Plus, fucking Cube killed the whole fucking record label where they had to start from the beginning. He killed his whole group where they had to sign the fucking, where he had this. They had to sign the shit because they wasn't gonna make no money. It sucked, my nigga. But let's get back into this.
Convictions in the year 2021 were black people, despite being only 13% of the population. That's the official FBI statistics.
That is arrests. That is not convictions.
Again, I'm trying to find the clarification on that. I do think it's convictions, but I can't find the exact line where it says that. If we had a copy of the actual
website right here. Hold on one second.
Well, there's a bunch of different websites that list the stats.
Wait, go back. Oh, wait.
If somebody finds the,
can you send it to me so I go over it on my phone? Because I have somebody from my team also got the site. I'm gonna have him text it to me, and then we could take a look at it.
Yeah, here's the UCR is the Uniform Crime Reporting Program, which is where these stats come from.
Let me check this out. So this is now this goes back. Do you got anything for 2021 or something like that?
Yeah, I'm looking at the
I was talking to the guy because when I look here, this says total arrests, table 43A. It does not say.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Look, I'm not, and I see this.
This my man M&J trying to say that. This ain't you.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm trying to call balls and strikes here. I don't know for sure. I'll read this. The FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program, which began in 1929, collects information on serious crimes reported to law enforcement agencies. So that does kind of lean your way. I thought it was convictions. I don't have the final word on that, so I don't know.
It's the FBI statistic is murder offenders.
Come on.
They're classified as offenders.
Table 43A, arrests, not convictions. M&J, stop talking about it.
All right, now it's
reporting.
He's mad because he's right. Gave up false information. You can't do that shit. Now you gotta make up another lie. Is he gonna make up another lie? We're gonna see.
Go ahead.
It's reporting, which is quite clearly it's classified here as offenders. It's not classified as people arrested for murder.
You want me to send you the link?
Told you he's making up another lie.
Yeah, send the link if you want.
Yeah, send the link. Let me have a look at what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Let me email.
Sure, why not?
Just put it in the chat.
Yeah. I'm gonna email it to myself.
And and then you can put it in the chat.
Right, and I'll put it in the chat.
That's what
table 43A says arrest.
Tell one lie, you gotta tell
and then if chat wants to weigh in too, I'm looking for the exact line that says.
I miss coming on here. I just want to let you know.
Say what?
I said I miss coming on here, man. We gotta do this like once every 2 months or something.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm trying to do more debates and
or even discussions like M&J sounds like he wants to have discussions and stuff like that because he can't handle debates clearly.
No,
so we could definitely have a discussion.
According to the legal definition, an offender is someone who's been convicted.
All right, hold on.
That's my understanding.
It's someone who has been arrested.
Let me refresh my page. This doesn't do. I was trying to have them find something like up to date, but the table would still be the same. I was just really looking for the numbers. I'm going to put this in the chat now. Did it let me paste it? Let me see. Wait, hold on. I don't think I copied it. Hold on. Let me see. Where you go? Let me highlight you. Right click.
Anyway, Ethan, I just sent you Steve Saylor's thread, which not only does it show the data, but it also provides like how you can like look it up yourself.
M&J,
explanation of how in the thread.
M&J, can you put that in the chat too?
I'll put it in the chat myself. And I'll read this. It's from Steve Saylor, who I didn't even see got restored back to Twitter. That's kind of cool. Says FBI. I never know who's there and who's not anymore. FBI announces blacks made up 60.4% of known murder offenders in 2021. That would be a new record for black dominance of murders, up from 56.5 in 2020. Although methodological snafus reduced police department participation this year, and I guess that was probably because of COVID. No, let me send this. I was just reading that out, and then I'll put it here in the chat, and you should be able to grab it as well. And I appreciate it. I see you posted that other one in the chat.
And then also, when they get with the way they get the numbers, we got to also check the percentages. So like now, right?
And also, these people that are getting convicted of murder, by the way, they're getting convicted for murders, generally speaking, of other black people.
M&J, let me just say this real fast. It's a stat. I just want to read this stat. This ain't pro you or me. I just want to read this stat. This is like the cde.ucr.gov.
Yo, Cap's trying to set the nigga up. Watch. He's trying to line you up, Joel.
It says in 2021 there were 690,158 all violent crime incidents and 812,683 offenses reported in the United States by 11,797 law enforcement agencies that submitted the National Incident-Based Reporting System. It covers 69% of the population. So even as we look at those stats, there's 31% of those stats missing. So I don't know if
but just because there's elements missing, like it's
no,
it's logical to presume a trend when you have such a large sample size. Like when you do a study,
I agree with that.
When you do something like an opinion poll, opinion polls are accurate even though they only get a sample of say like 10,000 respondents,
right?
And they can be accurate within within a certain kind of a little. It can be a bit of fluctuation, but usually they're quite accurate in representing populations of hundreds of millions.
Hey, M&J, let me give you an example. George Zimmerman, for example, was arrested for killing Trayvon Martin, but there's no conviction. So if you was to look at the convictions of George Zimmerman, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, because he didn't commit murder. He was defending himself.
He was not defending himself. I didn't bring it up for that instance. I don't want to talk about that part. But my point in saying that is arrest data and conviction data.
Also, he's a Mexican or something anyway, so who cares?
No, he's white. I think he's a so-called Jew.
Maybe, but he's kind of Hispanic looking.
His mother, his mother is Hispanic, but his father is white, so he's not one of us.
Yeah, so his mother is Hispanic, his father is Jewish, so he's not white.
To explain that situation, and reason why we consider him white is because you are what your father is. It's biblical. It's always been biblical. That's why they say you are what your father is. Even though if your mother's like Asian, Spanish, African, you are what your father is because the seed comes from your father. Look at it. It comes out the willy. Once it comes out the willy, that's the DNA. The DNA doesn't come from the mother. It just the mother bears the children. That's why I always look at it where it is. This is why I look at it like when a woman takes a father's child, I look at it as kidnapping because at the end of the day, it came out your willy, So it's technically yours. It's like, oh yeah, you created a toy. This nigga just took it because the nigga held the tools for you. That I don't know, but the thing, don't forget, society gave us a point of view where we think, oh, it came out the woman, then it's the woman's child. No, yeah, the woman did all the pushing and the, sweating and the pushing and the blood and all the tears and shit, but nigga, it came out your willy, it came out your nutsack. Ain't that your DNA, And this is where Captain Tazaryach is getting. I gave you the simplified version of everything, but this is where most of the stuff is coming from, where where when I say stuff like that, this is why I say you are what your father is. So if your father's black, nigga, your kids is black. Your kids ain't nothing else. Like, yeah, it might have that little, the dog hair. It might have somewhat of the dog hair. Not dog. I'm sorry. But it might somewhat have the Caucasian hair and shit like that. But the shit's coiled. It's just, you are what your father is. That kid is black. It's not the 1% rule. I never went by the 1% rule. And if anybody don't know what the 1% rule is, the 1% rule is if you have 1% of black blood in you, then you're black. Because everybody has black blood in them. Because at the end of the day, black people created everything. Without black, because don't forget, black people been on this world for over 700,000 years. Half of these people who've been on this earth haven't even been on there half of those years. Like, technically, Caucasians is only like 100,000 years old. Yes, they're like 100,000 years old. But black people, we've been on this world forever, like almost a million years. Not a million, but close, easily. So it'll be kind of hard to say that these niggas don't have no black, some type of black DNA. It go on the ethnicity of the person, you know. So yeah, George Zimmerman is a white guy because of his father. His father is a Jewish guy, but Jewish people are white. No matter how you cut, slice it, them niggas is from the white genetics, you know. Even though his mother's like what, Spanish or Mexican, I don't give a fuck. But his mother's something Latinos or Hispanic. Nigga, that's still white. Well, Hispanics is white because they're from like Spain. The niggas is like Spaniards or some shit. But this is becoming a good. Like I said, this is becoming a good interview. I mean, debate, especially with Joel. He's losing, but at the end of the day, he's still like, you know, interacting. I said interacting. Jesus Christ, interacting, and with people like Joel, always have to appreciate. He remind me of Paris. There used to be a nigga on CNN named Paris Hillard or some shit like that, and the nigga used to do the most. He used to, oh yeah, Trump this, Trump that. Nigga, I don't give a fuck about. I don't give a fuck about both of them, Trump or Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden. None of them niggas. And the reason why, cause like I said, I don't got no dog in this fight. You know, and this is why Trump won because, nigga, niggas. The niggas is crooks. But one thing I could say about Trump, the reason why niggas think he's exposing everybody is because the devil knows his own. Trump is the devil. We know Trump is the devil. Trump is just exposing other people who are doing the same deceiving stuff that he is. And when I say devil, I don't mean like, oh, a nigga with a pitchfork and a fucking horns and a sharp tail. No, nigga. I'm saying a deceiver. Trump is a deceiver. Trump always been a deceiver. That's why, like, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna give y'all something to think about. Is Louis Farrakhan black? And the thing about it, I'm gonna have y'all do research. Who is his father? Is his father black? Is his father white? I know his mother's black, but what is his father? Does that man make him a white man? You know, controlling black people. I'm just saying. Is this nigga's father white? I tried to look it up. I didn't want to do no more research in it. I think the nigga was a Jewish guy anyways. His father was. You know, and the thing about it's nothing wrong because at the end of the day, this nigga took a lot of fucking punishment, and he celebrated his black culture. Like, want to give y'all an example? I think Bob Marley is white. Stop. Think about what I just said. I think Bob Marley is white because he is what his father is. Is there something wrong with that though? His father was from Britain. I think his father, yeah, it was British. Fucking Bob Marley had white siblings, all white siblings, and all like brothers and sisters. Sorry. Um, like, let's be honest. Is he white or is he black? If his father's black, I mean, if his father's white, like there's nothing wrong. Like Lenny Kravitz, white too. What is it? His father was off of the Jeffersons. He was a part of the interracial couple. And them niggas really had a baby. They had Lenny. I still like Lenny Kravitz's music, but it doesn't gonna stop. Nigga, so what if you white? Like, my nigga, there's nothing wrong with, being white. Like, yeah, you still fighting the cause and shit like that, but you have your father's DNA. Like, yeah, you celebrate your mother and all this other stuff. You try to be more in your mother's, culture, but at the end of the day, it's I don't know why, but I think most people try to pick up their mother's culture. I see it on shows. I see it on like real life. I see it all everywhere. Like I was watching Naruto show. The nigga got his mother's last name. I have my mother's last name, but I know I'm my father's child. I know I'm my father's DNA. Like his father, his name was Naruto Uzumaki. That was his mother's last name. The Uzumakis is a very prestigious family, but at the end of the day, he's a Nazamaki, I think. Nazamaki or some shit like that. And that was his father. His father was, how to explain it? His father he's holding the seat of his father. That's why they talk about his father all the time. He was I guess the fourth Hokage. This is if you're into anime. And I'm using this as an example. But he was an Uzumaki. So even though it's the Uzumaki name in this prestigious family, he represents his father, who had a different last name. And that's basically I am. Yes, I am. How to explain? So my last name is Hale, Hale. But my father's last name is Jordan. But at the end of the day, I do represent my mother's side, Hale, but I carry the seed of Jordans in the Jordan clan. I still represent and I still carry the Hale side of the family, but my side is the Jordans. No matter what I do, no matter how much I would hate, put it this way, I don't hate my father's side, so let's get that correct. Let's say I did hate them. I still carry the seed of them. So this is where we say, he is the seed of his father. And this is why I say George Zimmerman was a white guy. He wasn't Mexican. And everybody always tries to use that narrative, but if we're going scientifically and biologically, yeah, you might look like your mother a bit, but you are your father's child. That's why I always say, like my kids is just half Asian, but they're black. They're black. Came out of my nutsack. No matter how it cut. Oh yeah, but but it was raised by, it came out of an Asian. Doesn't matter. It's still black. Genetically, it's just a black baby.
Yeah, he's Jewish. Jewish people are white too.
His maternal grandfather was of Afro-Peruvian descent, so actually he's your cousin.
No, hell no.
He's your cousin, man. It's another. Okay, so Georgian was a murderer. Another black man committed a murder. There you go.
Did you surprise me that he was?
Those African genes, man.
We're gonna find out. His ethnicity right now.
Zimmerman identifies as a Hispanic on voter registration forms.
In Peru, his maternal mother, his father is American of German descent. That's his father. So he's a white man.
So he's not a white man. If someone is half Hispanic,
is this a Halsey situation? Sorry, go ahead.
The Hispanic people all have some European genetics because of the coming over from Spanish or other groups.
And Joel,
doesn't make them white.
You just lied because you said his paternal father His paternal grandfather, you try to say, was Afro-Peruvian. You just lied.
No. I said maternal. Maternal great-grandfather was of Afro-Peruvian descent.
Okay, you know what? Although I don't believe y'all tell the truth, I'm going to go back.
I'm just reading from Wikipedia. Maybe Wikipedia's lying. Maybe Wikipedia's racist. The white man controls Wikipedia, and they're changing all they're uploading all this BS on the Wikipedia.
I can't say that because Wikipedia, like anybody, like you and I can go in there, I'm thinking like edit Wikipedia. So I'm not going to put that on white people. I'm not going to do that. See, I'm honest. He running from that arrest though. The stats say arrest, and that's why I used George Zimmerman, who was a German. He was not his mama. You are what your daddy is.
Well, put it this way. I wouldn't want my daughter marrying someone who looks like George Zimmerman, okay? I don't really consider him white.
He's related to Hitler. That's George Zimmerman is Hitler. He's Nazi. That's what he is. That's what
George Hitler. We'll just call him that from now.
I knew Ralph. Yeah, call him George Hitler. I knew Ralph would like that one. I always get Ralph to get one good laugh out of Ralph every time I get.
That's true.
So by the way, what's your take on Hitler? Do you find Hitler admirable because in a certain way, or do you find him detestable?
Hitler. Okay, I won't act like I'm a Hitler expert, but what I do know is that Hitler felt they was being oppressed by Jewish people, and Jewish people would probably feel they was the same. So it's like two sets of white people having a fight, and Hitler chose to do what he did to Jewish people, and they fought back, and then they killed Hitler. Hitler lost. I mean, I don't know what else to say. What I will say though is that, and I don't know if it was a mental tactic by the Germans, period, but they would treat the black athletes with more dignity than America would. I will say that. I will say that.
Interesting.
That's fact.
Oh shit. What is that saying about America? Captain Tazaryach just said Hitler treated black people with a little bit more dignity than white people did. That's saying a lot about America. Let's watch what this man said again.
Black athletes would, and I don't know if it was a mental tactic by the Germans, period, but they would treat the black athletes with more dignity than I don't know what else to say. What I will say though is that, and I don't know if it was a mental tactic by the Germans, period, but they would treat the black athletes with more dignity than America would. I will say that. I will say that.
Interesting.
That's fact.
Yeah, no, it is.
Jesse Owens was treated better. Jesse Owens was treated better. The athletes was treated better by Hitler. I will say that. And a lot of people don't know Hitler used to work with the Japanese people too. He wasn't as racist as people think. So that's what that would be my opinion about Hitler. I do know they killed that dude though. Y'all lost that one. Y'all been trying to bring Hitler back ever since. That's why y'all like Trump. Y'all like Trump. Trump is like Hitler light.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish he was more. I wish he had more Hitler qualities. Like Trump is like, he's like 10% Hitler. I wish he was like, I wish he was like 50%. In fact, I wish he was 100%. Let's be real. Like, it was like had more Hitler qualities. Like,
though, y'all lost that one. Y'all been trying to bring Hitler back ever since. That's why y'all like Trump. Y'all like Trump. Trump is like Hitler light.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish he was more. I wish he had more Hitler qualities. Like Trump is like, he's like 10% Hitler. I wish he was like, I wish he was like 50%. In fact, I wish he was 100%. Let's be real. But if he was at least 50%,
I disavow.
That would be nice.
To be clear, I want to say, go ahead.
What he's saying is, I wish Trump would bring the ovens. That's what he's saying.
No, I definitely disavow that.
No ovens. That's fake. That's a Jewish lie.
Okay, God.
There were no ovens.
It's just M&J. It's just a joke. Just a joke.
I don't want any of it unless it's an easy bake.
Y'all wish when Trump inspired them to run up on the White House, y'all was hoping they win. I know you was hoping, M&J. You was sad. How do you feel? Every January 6th, like, what do? You pour out a little liquor or something like that?
Well, I'm not an American, so it's not like it's as big to me as it is to Americans.
You could have fooled me that you're not an American. I think you love America.
I mean, there is a
I do love America. I do love America. I do want the best for America. I mean, white Americans are my racial brothers. You know what I mean? Like, they both come from the same mother country.
Brothers, true.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
Incorrect.
Yes,
no, they're not. Racial brothers. You know what I mean? Like, they both come from the same mother country.
Brothers, true.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
Incorrect.
Yes,
no, they're not.
Don't you try to set him up? You said the Jewish brothers is your brothers too. People don't understand. Jewish people are just white people. Jewish people are white people too. I don't see no difference between them and just regular white Americans or Europeans. I think they're all the same, you know? Y'all might say it's very, what's the word? Niggerish to think. And when I say niggerish, I mean very ignorant way to think. That's the word we might have to say. Very ignorant to think, but what's different between white and Jewish people? What, that them niggas is German? Nigga, that's still white, you know? Ain't nothing wrong. Nigga, you white. You don't be wrong white, you know? You just not black, you know?
They're not.
Yes, they are.
I do want the best for America. I mean, white Americans are my racial brothers. You know what I mean? Like, they both come from the same mother country.
Brothers, true.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
Incorrect.
Yes,
no, they're not. They're about as genetically similar to me as like a Sicilian or something. Like, it's very. They're not.
They're the same too.
Have you seen Sicilians? I mean, maybe to you, all white people look the same, but
yeah,
to me, I mean, come on.
Listen, you know, just because y'all like different shades of white, you got the
like Turks,
snow-looking white, and then you got a Sicilian-looking white. But it's all.
See, I'm a Snow White. Okay, I'm a Snow White, and I don't know. If, I don't accept Jews as white.
Snow White was a woman, though. You know, Snow White was a woman. You saying you're a woman?
Well, you use the term first to be
rhetorical point. I don't accept Jews as white.
Snow White was a woman, though. You know, Snow White was. You know, just because y'all like different shades of white, you got the
like Turks,
snow-looking white, and then you got a Sicilian-looking white. But it's all.
See, I'm a Snow White. Okay, I'm a Snow White, and I don't know. If, I don't accept Jews as white.
Snow White was a woman, though.
Look at Rose.
You know, Snow White was a woman. You saying you're a woman?
Well, you use the term first to be
stupid rhetorical point.
Go ahead.
I'm just being funny.
Go ahead. Now, let me ask a question, and we're going to take some callers, too, because I have some callers here.
Yeah, because we got about, 20 minutes left?
Hey,
Jay, man, it's going good so far, man.
I want to get some...
Yeah, this is good content. I tried to make this entertaining. You know, I tried to make this fun for the audience, so I think we succeeded.
I think we succeeded.
I think it's been fun, and we're going to take some calls. I'm not quite done yet. I want to ask, the topic of the debate, and I'll ask you the same thing in reverse here in a second, Joel, but Captain, what makes white crime worse than black crime?
Okay, first, on an even level playing field, all crime is horrible. I'm not for any crime. So I'm not for blacks committing crimes. Like, we go out and teach to prevent crimes. And when I agree to this particular debate, I'm mainly speaking at the amount. That's more so what I'm speaking. It's not that black people don't molest, that they don't rape, that they don't kill, that they don't sell drugs, but the level.
By the way, the reason why I'm yawning, because it's like 5 o'clock in the morning, so we've been up since like 3-ish and stuff like that, so don't mind me.
Of evil that white people have, that's what I'm battling in this particular blood sport. So I would say I'm against crime totally. On either side, I just think that white people do it more and worse than us.
Now, how about you, Joel? What makes black crime worse than white crime?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the real victims of black crime are black people, generally speaking, and the real victims of white crime are generally speaking white people on average. If you look at the data, it's pretty clear. And so, these are afflictions that we do to ourselves. When you look at like interracial crime, the statistics are quite clear that blacks have raped far more white women than the reverse. We don't want to rape black women, frankly, because they're ugly. But even beyond that, we just don't rape as much at all. Or if you want to look at murders,
that's a cap right there.
The interracial murder rate is very clearly skewed in one direction. So in the kind of crimes we commit to one another, at least in the American context or in Britain or France, we see a very clear kind of pattern. Now, overall, though, when you...
It's cap too, because Britain's all fucking interracially mixed up. I'm talking about there's so many more mixed kids in England than in fucking America. And America's mixed with everything. From Puerto Ricans to Dominicans to Asians to fucking Africans to blacks. Everybody's all mixed the fuck up. But in England, it's different because niggas want mixed kids like it's a fucking accessory. That's why I always tell people all the time, England's all fucked up. But English, just Europeans in general, they always been fucking freaks and shit. Look at France. Let me tell you something about France. France, they be fucking with little kids. They wanted, I remember there was an outrage in France when I was younger because they wanted to make the consent age 14. How sick you gotta be to make the consent age 14? I even think even 16 is kind of stretching it. But at the end of the day, I have to respect it because at the end of the day, because there's some people who are 16 that, carry themselves really as an adult. Think that they're an adult. They do adult things. So, by all means, they're going to be attracted to adults. That's why, I'm going to give you a theory. Do you want to know why I think R. Kelly allegedly messed with a lot of young girls? The nigga was illiterate. The nigga couldn't really go talk to older women because most of these older women were intellectual. Where they can read, they can write, they read the certain things and stuff. Like they read certain books, it's just how you carry yourself. Most niggas who are illiterate, they can't connect with somebody who can read and write really. Cause you have most of the information. If a nigga has to read me all that, that's why if you look at what's his name, Mayweather, he carried himself the way he carries himself, is because everybody was probably giving him information. Everybody was probably reading the shit for him. He probably could read very little, but nigga, he like young women, like 25 and up. I don't see nothing wrong with it, but he can read very little. I don't think the nigga can't read at all. And I know niggas be trying to bash the nigga, but I don't. This is when I would have got curious. If the nigga couldn't read at all, like R. Kelly's like an old school slave nigga who can't read at all. If you put a book in front of him, he'd be like, what the fuck? The nigga look like he has dementia or Alzheimer's. But it's just... the nigga... That's why I told niggas all the time, I think he should do some type of jail time just to say, okay, you know what? But all this fucking shit that he's getting right now, I don't think he should get all of that. I think it's very obsessive. Because the reason why is because these girls is old adults now. If you would have got these girls younger when they were in their 20s, these bitches is all in their 30s right now. He had one bitch that's 19. She's of age. She probably been fucking with older niggas before she fucked with R. Kelly. She thought like, yo, I probably got a bag right now. I like older niggas. She like young. He like young bitches. You know. But I always felt weird about that shit. To me, I always like me. I usually go out with older women. Like my nigga, I had a relationship with a woman who was older than my mother for 6 years. The bitch is like 54 right now, or 50, or probably in her 60s right now. You know, niggas, bitch was 21 years older than my mother. She's my father's age. My father's 21 years older than me. That lady just turned 60. You know, but the thing about it also too, I've been around older women. I've been around older people most of my life. Like yeah, I hung around kids and stuff, but the more fun when I was younger, the more fun was hanging around older people. So I was always attracted to older women. Even my first girlfriend I ever had was older than me. I was 8 years old. The girl was 12. I know y'all look niggas was looking at me crazy, but yeah, always dated older women. Always did. You know, and like it is what it is. It is like I tell niggas all the time. I dated older women when I was younger, so it's just what can I say? You know, but it's all the mindset. Oh, hold on. Let me go back right there.
Wants to make this more abstract point that crime isn't just these kind of murders and rapes and these kinds of things, but crime is this more expanded, larger concept like colonialism or something. Then I think the qualitative argument, as I'll restate it, I think makes sense, which is that if you want to kind of persecute or prosecute white civilization, well, it's kind of weak because white civilization, Western civilization is so glorious and so magnificent.
Sorry if I went off topic,
and our goals are so noble and so virtuous. Whereas, black crime doesn't really have this like deeper existential quality that you can really point to. This great, grand African civilizational project that they're engaging in, or something that I'm morally criticizing. I'm not. In fact, if there are African black leaders who are trying to politically contest negative forces in their society to bring about a higher civilizational quality, then I actually sympathize with them. I sympathize with the Ugandans eradicating homosexuality and these kinds of things, for example. But nevertheless, you don't really see much of that going on in Africa. You don't see that same kind of Faustian aspiration. You don't see that same kind of refinement, civilizational refinement, and so on you see with us. And so, he wants to blame the white man for this. It's everything is our fault. He has this victim mentality. Everything is our fault. We are responsible for providing a negative example to the black man. Well, really, you have no one to blame but yourself. Ultimately, the responsibility to advance black people, to get black culture and black civilization together, is with other black people. And I can talk about the problems with Jews and this and that and so on, but ultimately the degradation of Western civilization, fundamentally the buck stops with white people. It's our fault. We've turned away from our religion. We've turned away from the principles that made our civilization great, and we've allowed it to fall into disrepair. And this is fundamentally our failing. I think ultimately that's a healthier mentality, because you have to look inward to correct your own flaws and your own issues in order to progress. And I think it's the same for blacks. Ultimately, if blacks want solutions, crying to the white man about how the white man shouldn't do this and should do that and so on, this is the mentality of someone who comes forth as a subordinate, saying, take care of me, white man, treat me this way, I need you for this, I need you for that. Black dignity will only come from no longer looking to the white man to provide solutions, but looking to themselves. And insofar as there is kind of black self-determination, a black dignity that wants to be asserted, their own independence and so on, I think this is a positive development. And actually there could be some alignment between blacks going their own way. I'm supportive of the ACON project of let's get all the wealthy, successful black people and let's move back to Africa and invest in advancing black culture, black civilization, as opposed to engaging in the system of the white man and so on in America, which will never be. It will never belong to the black man in the same way. They'll never have their dignity and ownership and self-ownership over themselves under that situation that they could have. And so I would support that kind of thing, and I see it as noble. So I think that would be how ultimately I would frame this discussion. But in conclusion, I think overall, it really depends on what strata you want to have this debate. This debate is interesting, I guess, because we've been able to operate at different levels, whether we're just debating crime statistics or we're getting into these more existential questions about race relations or whatever. And so, thanks for the debate. I think we put on something fun for the audience, and I enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed it too.
Hey, can I just say one thing, Ralph?
Yeah. What now? Hold on. I'm gonna let you respond to that if you want to get in a little, retort, and then I'm gonna ask some questions and take the callers. But I agree. Of course, I'm not taking sides of the debate, but with that last point, I think it's been good for the audience, and I do like how it's able to operate on several different levels depending on how you want to take it. So I agree with that, and thank you both for being here. Now, go ahead if you want to say a little something.
Yeah, it won't be that long.
There's
the parts that you said about depending on white people. I agree with you. I don't think we should depend on y'all. We don't need white people to
I've heard you say that. Yeah, so I figured you probably agree with that.
We do not need. I agree with that. That's why sometimes, like I said, when we have these conversations, M and J, there's some things that we're going to agree on, and then there's some things, because this is a blood sport type of thing, I have to whoop your ass. So M and J, you just got to get it. But there's some things you're going to say that I'm in agreement. I do not believe that we got to go cry to white people, say, give us this, give us that. All we ask for is that you get out of our way as we go to get it ourselves. Right. And that's where we always have the problem. But when you brought out the raping and the crime, and then I'm going to yield. And again, this is arrest. This is table 43. When it comes to rape, if I go to the top of this crime in the United States, 12,187 rapes by white people, 5,000 by black. If I go to crime in general, as I scroll down to the overview, it says arrests, which lets you know this is about arrests and not convictions. It says arrests by race and ethnicity. 68.9% of all individuals arrested were white. 27% were black or African American. 3.9% were other races. So when you bring up statistics, 68, which if we round both of those off, we would say 70% belong to y'all, 27% belong to us. Ralph, if you got any other questions, I'm good. I just wanted to.
Yeah, I have some.
By the way, that's still disproportionate, right? That's still like double representation for blacks, according to that data. Also, you're also grouping in Hispanics into the white category.
Any Hispanics in there? No, that does not. Except if
we didn't. Well, they count.
What's the Hispanic? What's the Hispanic proportion of that data then?
No. It says of arrestees for whom ethnicity were reported, 18% were Hispanic or Latino. That is not including, so that percentage. I had this argument with another guy on Killstream that said the same thing, but that's not including, because when you go look at the data at the top, it has total, white, black or African American, Hispanic or Latino, American.
Wait, so can you repeat all the different, so the white percentage was how much?
68.9.
And the black percentage was what?
Was 27.
Yeah, and what was the Latino? 18?
No. Outside of whites and blacks, the rest of the percentage was 3.9 was the other races.
But then you said Hispanic and Latino was 18%.
It says of arrestees for whom ethnicity was.
Yeah, so then that must be part of the white.
That's not
quantity.
No, it's
not.
It
is, because 18 plus 27 plus 68 plus 3 equals more than 100.
But that 18 would probably be a part of the 3.9% in the other races.
That's going to be part of the 3.9%. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know why the FBI, which is run by white people, would say 68.9 is white.
Because they're grouping, as I said, all the Hispanics in under this category of white.
So whites and you Hispanic and white at the same time?
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, the data must be how the data is portrayed for that ratio to make sense.
I go up to the top. When you go up to the top of total arrests, it breaks it all down and separates it. It gives the ethnicity. It has Hispanic or Latino. It has Hawaiian. It has American, Indian, or Alaska Native. It has Black or African American, and it has white. So I'm sorry. So
I'm not looking at what you're looking at. So I'm just going off what you're saying. The math just didn't add up. So there must be.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, I'm like you know.
Now wait a minute. All right, now let me we'll put a pin in that because I can see that this could really last a while. This discussion. Now let me ask a few of these questions and get some of these callers.
No problem.
Because I mean I don't know that we'll probably come to an agreement on that. Sonny D says explain Marion Barry, and I guess this was going back to earlier in the debate. I thought you, DC? Yeah, I thought you would laugh at that.
He just smoked crack twice to get voted mayor.
That's right. They had him on tape smoking crack, I believe. Yeah, or buying it, one or the other. I forget. I was a little kid when this happened, but
yeah, me too. That was like the 90s. I was young too when it came out.
Yeah. So I guess that was his retort about Trump. Establishment Groyper says these statistics relating to disproportionate black crime have existed long before Trump was in the picture. That's more of a statement there. Let me see if I can grab another question. Well, the other one says blacks and natives were murdering and raping before we took over. Let's see. J Danks Respecter says, for the captain, how is the general? That man is a living legend. Is what he said there.
He's doing great. He's doing wonderful.
Cool. That's cool to hear.
I got to know which general. Is he talking about the general that made the Jewish boy cry?
I believe so. Yes, that's the general that he's talking about.
That's the general he's talking about? Yeah. Oh, he's doing great. Yeah. General Mayak Allah, he's doing great. He's still in the school. He's still doing work. He's doing wonderful.
Yeah, he's a legend.
He's a hero. Yeah, I know. He said, cry, white boy.
If y'all know who the general is, please let me know.
We played that clip many times here on the show.
For M&J. You got to play it for M&J. You'll love it.
I'm pretty sure he's heard it.
Where he's like, the Holocaust was a joke, nigga. That's right. Yeah, I love that shit. That shit's funny as fuck.
I don't like that.
He's in fellowship with that guy. Yeah. So we've talked about it. Almost every time he comes on, somebody asks about the general. Almost every single time. All right, now we do have some callers. Let's see how this goes. Okay. If you want to call in, I saw Tenrio wanted to talk. I'll let him on first since he's a fellow streamer here on Cozy.tv. And I'm /Ethan Ralph on this channel. I'm also live on Rumble at the moment as well. We've had about 1,000 people pretty much the whole time watching us, thereabouts or just under.
That's good.
So good. That's a pretty good crowd here on a Friday night. And we've had.
Did y'all put me in the Hall of Fame yet? Am I official?
You're gonna be official, but I have to do another class. I have to do a class of inductees, and I'm gonna try to do that this fall. I'd actually thought about.
Listen, I'll come to it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. I was actually thinking about trying to do an in-person inductee ceremony since it's based around a roast, basically, on the other Hall of Fame that we've done, where people come in and the person is inducted, and then at the end they get to say their part, right, which is usually roast everybody else, right? in a roast. So that's the setup for the Killstream Hall of Fame, just so it's a little entertaining.
I'll come down for that, man.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? And you were definitely going to be on the list of inductees as well. And I talked about this before you came on, that the captain's pretty much a Hall of Fame guy here, and I do plan to do that. So I think it'd be more fun to do it in person and to do like a class.
I think you would too.
Yeah. It just comes off better. Now we've done one on air, but it's a little bit harder, and it's not the same, if you're not in person for a roast. Right. So, all right, let's bring on Tenrio. If you want in, call in now. T.me/the Ralph Retort on Telegram. Anybody's welcome. I know the captain's restreaming it as well.
I search you on Rumble.
Say what?
What's the name on Rumble?
Just the Ralph Retort, and I'll link it in our chat as well. All right, let me bring in Tenrio. Go ahead, Tenrio. You got to unmute yourself.
There we go. I see it now.
Oh, you see it? Okay, cool. Oh shit! I accidentally left the meeting. Let me join back. Oh my God.
Yo, what is good, guys?
Hold on one sec.
What is good, boy?
Wait. One sec.
Because see the comments. Is there like comments in the chat? Do you have is there like a comment on here?
Hold on. Okay. Now Joel, let's see. Okay, now Joel, say something because I accidentally unpinned you.
I don't know what's going on.
No, I got it. I got it now. That was my fault. I accidentally backed out of your version of the meeting, so it's fine now. What were you saying, Captain?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
All right. Sorry about that. That was my fault. I accidentally backed out. Of course, tech issues. The show wouldn't be complete unless I had a failure of my own. Now go ahead, Tenrio.
Yo, what is good, guys?
What's
Ethan,
up?
Ralph.
What's up,
yo,
brother?
the Ralph male.
It's good to be
Joel
back.
Davis. What's up, my boy? Yo, Cap. First time meeting you, brother. What's going on?
What's going on, man?
How y'all doing? I'm cool. I have a question for Cap, of course. You know, I'm here. I'm on Cozy TV as well, and I'm a member of America First. Cap, do you really think that Jews and whites are the same? Do you think they're the same people?
I just think they're from a different tribe, but they're the same.
You think they're from a different tribe? You want to elaborate on that?
From a biblical perspective, so-called Jews come from Amalek. So they're just another Edomite. So we look at white people as Edomites and just different tribes, like how you got the 12 tribes of Israel with different tribes. So that's just the tribe. Amalek is that tribe.
Right, and the whites are from a different tribe, but they're of the same people.
Right, but they're the same progenitor, so to speak. Like the children of Israel's progenitor is Israel or Jacob. So the whites' progenitor is Edomites, and it's just different tribes.
All right, so the whites are Edomites and the Jews are Semites, is what you're saying?
Yeah, they're all Edomites.
All right, so now I do have another question in pertaining to, you know, just the blacks, because, you know, I'm black. I'm from New York City, born and raised.
Yeah, I teach in
exactly.
Harlem.
Say that again?
I teach in Harlem every Saturday. We're going to be on 125th and Lenox Ave if you want to come outside tomorrow.
Oh, word, I got family up there. I'll come see you.
Yeah, bring your ass outside.
What do you think about what we've been doing, how we've been struggling, you know, these past couple of decades, you know, this past century or so? Let's say, for example, you know, because you did mention segregation. You did mention you know, going back to Africa and you know, just like segregating from the whites, letting them stand out of our way to, you know, just achieve a prosperous community, right? So let's say, for example, let's give a scenario, right, that they actually do, quote unquote, step out of our way, and we actually get what we want in terms of no interference from any community, whether it be white, whatever the fuck, right? You know, we have these people stand out of our way to achieve whatever it is that we're accomplishing. What's the plan then?
I think history can teach itself. One correction, I don't want to go back to Africa. I don't like Africans. The motherfuckers is funky select.
You don't like Africans? It's crazy because, you know, we see a lot of a lot of brothers come waving the flag, waving the African flag, but I think you get it. In the sense that, you know, Africans hate us, bro.
Like, even when they talk about going back to Africa, right? Just think about their concept. You're going to move, let's say, 1 million black people in America and then put them into another land. Right. But people don't realize you're invading another nation's space. And so that nation is not going to take you into their space, because then that represents another problem. So those 1 million people now become this country, whatever country in Africa they go to, is going to be their problem. So I don't believe we got to go back there.
Are you against immigration, therefore, from Mexicans and so on into the United States for the same reason?
I'm not against immigration, because the part of Mexico that they're in is because when you whites came over here, you took their land and put them into the worst part of Mexico. You know, New Mexico, Texas, California, all of that was Mexico before y'all came over here. So no, I'm not against immigration at all. Are you against Irish immigrants, Italian immigrants? Or you're only against Mexican immigrants?
Only Mexican.
Yeah, see? You see the problem? So just like you don't, listen, and you don't have to be for Mexican, and you could be for Irish, just like I could be for Mexican and not for Irish. So I answered your question.
Yeah, but I'm just curious, because you said that going back to Africa you'd be like invaders, like they have their own way of life, their own ethnic groups.
Right.
And if a bunch of American blacks went there, they would be outsiders and they would disrupt these countries, and it could produce hostilities.
Right.
So do you think that's the same thing with all these migrants flooding into all of these white countries?
I don't look at that from. I look at that from Irish. I look at that from the East Indians. Like, remember them East Indians came in, they put them in the Airbnb. So I'm against all of that. I don't look at Mexicans that way because they're already on their land. So I don't look at Mexicans, Native Indians.
Okay, so Mexicans one way, but like all the other groups, because a lot of the immigrants are from India, they're from China.
So I'm against African immigrants. I'm against anybody that's not my people coming over here, if that makes it clean. So East Indians, Africans, Asians, I would be against all that, but I'm just not.
What if a Mexican moves up to New York? Would you say get the fuck back to Texas?
No, man. I would say you want to get in class, you want to learn, you want to be a brother, you want to build up this nation. That's what I would say. Because Mexicans are my brother.
So you want to take over? You want to take over?
Oh, so you got this like Black Mexican alliance thing going on.
Well, I don't.
That's
really
a hostile takeover if I've ever heard it.
No, actually, it's not a hostile takeover. So to go back to answering the question, history teaches itself. So when they so-called freed the slaves during segregation, all we did without the truth, what I mean by truth, without the truth of the Bible, when all we had was us, we didn't kill each other. Our families weren't separated. We weren't drug dealers because we knew we didn't have that dependency that was created for us. Slavery represented a certain dependency. We knew where our food came from. Even as we're going through hell, we knew where our food came from, our clothing came from, etc. Now, when we're so-called free, we have to.
But did you know where the ships came from?
Wait, hold on one second. And so once we realized we had to fend for ourselves and provide our own shelter, our own education, we did just that. So when you go into the late 1800s, the early 1900s, when the white man was going through his Great Depression, Black people was going through a utopia, establishing their cities, establishing their families, establishing their education, establishing everything. So if we had that same opportunity, that same history would take the same precedence. Because when I say segregation, if the white man separates from us, then he has to take his drugs away too. He has to take his abortion away too. He has to take all of those things that were put in place for us. Take the welfare away, take all of that away, and just let us come.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with the Mexicans though? Like, why do you see the Mexicans as your brothers?
Got you. So M&J, what we teach from a biblical perspective is that the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we're all the same nation of Israel. Different tribes, but the same nation. So a Dominican, a Haitian, a Puerto Rican, a Guatemalan, Mexican over here will be considered one of the tribes of the nation of Israel. So they would be my brother. When you see
the genetic basis for that doesn't seem to be quite clear. I mean, there is a lot of difference physically between Mexicans and Africans. A Mexican would probably have more genetically in common with a Filipino than they would with a Mexican with an African.
Let me correct you. We're not African, no. Like,
yeah, but you descend from Africa, right? Like you came from Africa.
No, we don't. We descend.
That's where we got this. Where'd the slaves come from?
I'm glad you asked that. So before I answer that part, we descend from Jacob, who is the patriarch for the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. In the Bible, we are the children of the book. When you go into an ancient map system during the time of slavery, where they took us from, which is the west coast of Africa, it would say land of Judah, because we knew exactly who we were before we came over here and were denied to keep our identity and culture. So you can see instances of oral tradition of them knowing that they were Israelites. Harriet Tubman and her whole family knew that they were Israelites. So Africans and Israelites are not the same people. Biblically, Africans would come from a Hamitic stock. Biblically, Israelites come from a Shemitic stock, two different lines. So just because we were exported from that land doesn't mean we're the people.
Wait, so you think that the Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, and American Blacks are all related, but you're not related to the Black people that live in Africa today?
Correct.
They're from a different group.
They're from a different tribe.
Well, this is some wild shit.
It is. There is a point to be made about that, and it's like I was saying before. It's like, if we do all segregate back to Africa, we still have the whole problem of, we're the losers of the tribal wars. Like, there are many different tribes in Africa. There are many different countries.
Hey, why
we're the losers overall first. And let me finish my point. And second of all, I'll say this, let's say we do come from Israel. We are the Blacks are truly God's chosen people, right? So wouldn't that be more or less a example of us, teaming together and really knowing who our true enemy is, those who claim they are God's chosen people, those who claim, they are Semitic.
Yeah, so when we don't understand the reason why we lose what you say is a tribal war is because we don't understand what loyalty is. My envy of like a guy like M&J is that M&J is loyal to his cause. If you listen to this debate that we had, he's so loyal to it that he doesn't care what crime they commit as long as it results in him winning because he's loyal to that cause. Black people don't know what loyalty is. We've lost that. If you go before the 1960s, before like integration came in, Black people knew exactly what loyalty was. They knew you needed to stay in the house, you had to raise them kids, you had to protect your community, you had to protect your own. Integration came, feminist movement came, drugs came, and we lost what that sense of loyalty was. And that's the only reason we lose. You lose. Listen, I've seen like Black people have been fighting for civil rights since the 1960s, have not gotten nothing. And then I've seen the Asians come, and when Joe Biden got in office, got an anti-Asian bill passed because Asians was loyal to Asians. When we learn,
I'll say this, just to add to your point.
Let him finish. Hold on, Tanner. Let him finish.
All right.
When we learn what a sense of real loyalty to Black people is, we'll realize we don't have to cry to the white man for everything. We can just be. I'll try to be short. When you talk about Black business economics, the dollar runs out of the Black community to go to other nations. Whereas back during like Black Wall Street, it would take a year for that dollar because Black people had a sense of loyalty. Our solution does not involve fighting white people, arguing with white people. It just comes with having a sense of loyalty and love to Black people. A year. All
right, now go ahead, Tenry. I'll get your thought on.
So, you do mention that all the money is the dollar is, leaving, the Black communities, leaving America in general, because that's where it's really leaving from. And they're going to foreign aid, foreign countries, things like that. But you got to ask yourself the question. It begs the question: where's the money going? How much is what country is obtaining the most? And that's the country of Israel. That is Israel, like straight up and straight down, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So who's pretending that they are God's chosen people currently? Those who call themselves Semitic, those who are Khazarians, those who are Ashkenazis, right? So it's like we've been at this whole war back and forth with whites having a chip on our shoulder, having an anvil, a cinder block for decades, for years. We've been led astray. We've been lied to. We've even been held at as many certain standards. We've even had spoils like dangling over our heads. Like, hey, you see with like all of the degenerate rap music, for example, hey, I'll make you famous if you do this. Okay, who owns all of these things? Who owns the banks? Who owns the media? Who owns the record labels? Who owns all of this stuff that is currently? You talk about feminism. You talk about drugs going into our communities. Yeah, that all stems from one source. You have to know what that source is. You have to know who your true enemy is. Malcolm X has been fighting for our rights for a very long time, and he mentioned this. He brought it to the mainstream. This is why I'm a part of America First. This is why I'm a part of that movement. I see Nicholas J. Fuentes as the modern Malcolm X. He is the one that's actually speaking the truth on these things. And no one else is canceled nowhere near as much as he is. You could bring up all of these people, Andrew Tate, all these other influencers, nowhere near the amount, because he knows who the real enemy is, right? And I don't mean enemy like, hey, we go out and kill somebody or anything like that. I mean, this is a spiritual war. This is a psychological war, and we don't know who our enemy is. You got most blacks, 90% of blacks in our communities do not know. They have no.
Yo, when this nigga talks, all I hear in my head is Rage Against the Machine. Nigga, all I hear is Rage Against the Machine. This is a spiritual war. You gotta know your enemy.
no idea. Even Malcolm made that mistake and unfortunately putting blacks and whites in the same category. You know, he wanted to be, he wanted to be separatist. He wanted to be for our people. I feel that. But overall, he didn't. He made the mistake. He made the greatest mistake of not siding with other people that have the same issues. We all have one enemy. I yield.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
go. I appreciate you calling it. Yeah, go ahead. Great call, by the way.
Yeah, like what's kind of striking about this belief system to me is, it just seems like a very convenient mythology for
talking about my belief system or the Jewish people.
Like what you just put forward.
Okay.
It's like a very kind of convenient mythology, but from my understanding of like the actual genetic differences between groups, the idea that you guys are all related, I mean, do you think that the genetics, do you therefore dispute the genetic modeling and say that there's something, like there's some conspiracy or something in the genetic modeling? Because from what I understand, genetic similarity between you and a black person from Africa is going to be much closer than between you and any Mexican, right? Or whatever. There might be some kind of Hispanics that have some African ancestry because they were, obviously slavery wasn't just in the United States of America; it was all over the place in the Americas, and so there's African genes everywhere. But I'm just kind of like curious, like how you rationalize that. Like, have you looked?
There's more genetic differences between Africans and black people than Africans and white people. Than black people and white people. So that's not true what you're saying.
Well, no, but I am more genetically similar scientifically to every other white person than any non-white person.
No,
because that's just how it works.
No. That ain't what I'm saying. You are closer to white people, right? Because y'all all the same tribe. Melanated people don't make you the same. It's a lot of melanated people. You got all the Hamitic races or African races. You got Arabs that got melanin. You got East Indians. You got Hawaiian. All these people, just because you got melanin, don't make you the same. Yeah. You guys are the anomaly.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying you were saying before how you're related to the Mexicans and so on. It's like you guys are very distinct.
Yeah, but there's nothing that says that we all have to look alike. That's not how it works.
Well, that's kind of how it works with genetics. Like usually, if you're more genetically related, you look more similar. It's kind of how it works.
Right, but you haven't examined the genetics between the nations that you mentioned to say whether we're closer to one than the other. You basing it all off assumptions and science.
No, I have.
I'm about to get
I have looked at the genetic modeling.
I got here, they're gonna give me the information. So when it says larger genetic differences between Africans than between Africans and Eurasians, we're not the same.
No, there is a lot of genetic diversity within Africans, but Africans are more similar to each other than to any outside group.
PubMed, by the way. They do the studies. We're not the same. Stop. I'm not disputing that there's a lot of genetic diversity within Africans, within blacks. There is a lot of genetic diversity. What I'm saying is that they're more similar, they're more related to one another than they are to any other group. You would have to substantiate that. You're making a statement because they're not.
Yeah,
close.
Well, that's what my understanding is. I didn't come in here with to have a debate about this, so I didn't prepare notes or anything. But my understanding.
But having an understanding, like you and I both can have an understanding, and then there's science. And so
that's what I'm asking you, because from what I understand, like there isn't significant genetic similarity whatsoever between Mexicans and American blacks. It would be if you guys were all descended from the same tribe.
No, I never said we was descended from the same tribe. I said we're from the same nation.
Well, the same nation, right. Same thing.
Right. So the tribe of Issachar and the tribe of Judah or the tribe of Benjamin, they could have started off the same, and then as they travel and venture out, they could become different, but they're still family. So for us, from a biblical perspective, the Mexicans are from the tribe of Issachar. So let's say the West Indians, they would be from the tribe of Benjamin. Me, I'm from the tribe or black, so-called blacks are from the tribe of Judah. When people do the whole African thing, it's just like, well, they was taken from Africa, so they must be African. That don't even make sense, because if white people are exported from Africa, you're not gonna say they're African. I think Angelina Jolie, Elon Musk is a damn African by citizenship. Nobody's gonna say he's white. I'm just gonna say
yeah, sure. I'm not trying to. I'm not really arguing, trying to contest that. I'm more trying to understand the relationship between you guys and the Mexicans and so on. The Mexicans must have by your theory, like let's just say for the sake of argument, I don't believe your theory, but let's just say we'll accept it for the sake of argument. If the Mexicans are from the same nation, they must have miscegenated a lot with other humans that are native to other regions to be able to become that different over time.
Just so you know, like when it comes to like genetics, or I know sometimes when I have conversations like this with people, they bring up like DNA, like ancestry and stuff like that. We don't base this off of genetics. Our base is off the Bible and then historical history. So for Taino Indians, for example, you could find Hebrew stones. Mexicans, you could find Hebrew writing, them carrying a culture. The Cubans or Puerto Ricans, you can see there's a book called Lost Tribes in Promised Land, for example, where you can see that they say, I myself am from the tribe of from the tribe of Reuben. And my brother Joseph is on an island nearby. So when you actually go throughout history, you'll hear them say that they are descendants of the tribes of Israel. Long before I was alive, long before my organization existed. So when you do the historical research and line it up with the Bible, that's how we substantiate who they are. We didn't do this by picking and say, yeah, I want the Mexicans to be this, and I want this to be this, and I want that to be that. We just go by what the truth of the scriptures say and history that backs it up. That's how we base it.
But don't you think it's kind of convenient how somehow all of these tribes just all ended up in the Americas?
I would call it prophecy.
And even though then we look at the genetic modeling and we find that they're all their genetic source, like the genetic modeling seems to suggest a radically different history. They have radically different source populations.
The transatlantic slave trade, where would you say it started?
When did it start?
Yeah, or where did you say it started? Where would you say?
Well, wasn't it just from like Eastern Africa to like the Caribbean?
That's kind of like the common history. The history is like transatlantic slave trade started from Africa to America, right? But really, the transatlantic slave trade started from America to Spain first. When Columbus came over here, he took the Taino Indians, 1,100 of them, brought them over to Spain first in the transatlantic slave trade. And then once they saw that 300 survived, they said, okay, that's good business. And then they started exporting blacks from West Coast of Africa, or the Israelites from West Coast of Africa into America. We share that. Like, we share that collectively. Even the Native Indians and Hispanics coming over here to America, when you read Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, you see that how they even got here to the Americas. So we line up the Bible, that's Second Ezra 13, verses 40 through 48, and then Deuteronomy 28 and 68, when it talks about the children of Israel going into slavery or Egypt again with ships. So we take that biblical reference, we use historical data, and then we line them up, and then that's how we determine who the children of Israel was. Or, because if I'm not an Israelite, I wouldn't even read the Bible. I don't even know why people read the Bible if you're not an Israelite. If you're not an Israelite, the Bible not for you.
Facts.
That's a different.
It's an interesting belief system. I've never been able to talk to someone with it before, so that's why I'm just trying to ask
that's why when I noticed, when I seen like where you were going with it, like you had questions, I said, okay, let me answer some of his questions to dispel some of them, and that's what separates us from the so-called Jew. He's not a Jew at all, never been a Jew. He's a liar. Hey, Ralph, I did this debate with this. When I seen like where you were going with it, like you had questions, I said, okay, let me answer some of his questions to dispel some of them. And that's what separates us from the so-called Jew. He's not a Jew at all, never been a Jew. He's a liar. Hey, Ralph, I did this debate with this Assyrian Jew one time, this guy, and I pulled out the Nazi. We got that book here? I remember
that. I remember that.
Remember that, Ralph?
Yes.
So I pulled out the Hitler book Nazi, when he had to picture the so-called Jew, when he called him the bastard. I said, this is what they think of y'all, because they're not the Jewish man at all. But if you ever ask them who's like the tribe of Naphtali or Issachar or Benjamin or anything like that, they're not going to have an answer for you, because they're imposters. They converted like around 600 AD or 500 AD, one of those times. That's when they converted to that culture. So they're imposters. We are the ones that are actually them. And that's why when guys like a Kanye or Kyrie or any black person mentions that we're the children of Israel, it becomes a threat to the so-called Jew because he doesn't want the truth to come out. See, now when we get into this type of conversation, M and J, you're gonna be like, damn, Cap, we kind of close and shit. You know what I mean? So that's how we feel about that.
Now, you brought this up, and it led me to this question that I forgot to ask you. It says, Captain.
Right. Hey, before you do that, Ralph, just the king that converted them is King Bulan of Khazaria. He's the king that converted them to what we today know as Judaism.
F1 Groiper says, Captain, what did you think of Ye when you talked to him in the clubhouse space?
What I thought of Ye was that, well, before I interviewed him, because I interviewed Kanye, and before I interviewed him, I was watching his videos, and most people was concerned about the controversy between him and Adidas and if he was crazy and stuff like that. When I was watching him, I saw like a man that really wanted to express his spiritual side. And so when I interviewed him, it was me and unfortunately a homosexual. I had no control over who was the other person interviewing him. A damn queer was interviewing him, but I wanted to be a part of the interview, so I didn't have no choice.
Well, you know what's funny is I was covering it live, and then they brought you on. I was like, "That's Captain Tazaryach, what?" And so we were watching it live, and I was like, "Wow, it's blowing my mind."
Why is this always a condition with Kanye that you've got to like associate with a faggot to associate with him?
Yeah, listen, I don't know why. So the guy that set up the interview with Kanye, his name is Whack 100.
Yeah,
and I didn't know that I was going to do the interview at all. And he called Whack. The guy Whack calls me up and said, I'm gonna do the interview. So I thought it was gonna just be me and Kanye at the time, but then the homo comes, and now he's a part of it too. And I talked to him. So I talked to the homo because I want to make sure we don't have no type of conflict in doing the actual interview, because I'm against homosexuality. So as we're doing the interview, they was kind of asking him like superficial questions, and me and Kanye is talking, and Kanye tells me this joke. And I didn't laugh as a joke because the joke wasn't really that funny. I was like, So he was like, no, you want to have a real conversation. And that moment, that's when I asked him about how does he feel about how he's being represented and how does he feel about the Jewish man. And then when he answers that question, that's when the room went boom. I wish it hadn't, because then we could have got to maybe like the meat and potatoes of what he really wanted to talk about. So I really, I'm mad that the interview stopped, but I was grateful for the opportunity that I had to
for those who don't know, they took it down off Clubhouse, and the whole thing got subverted, basically. And it was just getting good too, actually, like you said. And then they cut it off, and it's like, oh my god,
right?
Because I covered it.
I was mad as hell about that.
Yeah, and it was a big spot too. Of course, everybody, a lot of people, at least thousands of people,
were talking about it.
Yeah.
Could have kept asking them, and we could have kept going, man. That could have been a wonderful interview.
Well, I'm not just saying this because you're a guest on my show fairly often, but that was the most interesting part of that, and it was just starting to get good, and it was like, yeah. So anyway, but it was cool.
Listen, I'm glad to hear that you streamed it, man.
I did.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we did. We streamed that, and it was hard to.
White people don't love me, man. White people love me, man.
We had to get that on the air. Now it was hard too. I had to plug in my Bluetooth to stream from Clubhouse and all this stuff. But we did.
Man, that's good. I appreciate that.
We did get it up there. All right, now I think we have one more caller. If you want to get in here now. We're headed towards home here. Go ahead, Revanchist. You're on the kill stream.
I got about 10 more minutes, Ralph.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's right. Yeah, go ahead, Revanchist.
Hey, Ralph, thanks for taking the call.
Appreciate it.
I had a couple questions for Captain.
Sure.
Yeah, how you doing, man?
I'm good to go. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Right.
I wanted to challenge you to not go to the dictionary for these questions. You say things like, black people learned rape and murder from whites. Is this like some slogan, or do you actually believe that blacks didn't rape and murder before coming into contact with whites?
Well, I don't believe that black people didn't murder or do any crimes before they came in contact with whites. What I'm doing is holding whites accountable for what they created when we came over here.
Okay.
Because they took away our identity. They took our way of life. So we don't, to be honest, like, I can't speak for what they did or didn't do before we came over here in America, because no one knows. But what I do know is that our names were changed, our identity was changed, our culture was changed, our way of life was changed. So everything we learned in America, we learned from white people. That's why I say that.
Right. Well, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I mean, obviously, this is not a
I like this
racially
dude.
exclusive
Hey, what's your
thing.
name, man? What's your name?
I'm Revenge Estate. What's up?
No, I like you. I was saying I like this dude. I just wanted to get your name. That's all. Nothing special.
I'm sorry. I'm just messing with you, man.
I'm messing with you back.
Listen,
I'm messing
I
with you
think.
back.
What's that?
He's messing with you too.
I'm
Yeah,
messing with you back. Yeah, it's not that serious, man.
it's all
Just
over
get your
him.
point out, white boy. Come on. We need to hear what you're trying to say. Don't let him distract you with this bullshit. Oh, I like this nigga.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't get sucked in.
What nigga Joel? I like this nigga.
I think when
What
you say
nigga Joel in the
things
house?
like black. I think when you say things that like black people learned rape and murder from white people, I think that's classic black narcissism, and you know that too.
How can a black be narcissist though?
What's that?
How can a black person be in on this particular subject? How can a black person be narcissist in comparison to white people?
Well, that's like a common thing in America. I mean, you have this endless footage of black people going into stores and looting and shoveling valuables and electronics into carts. And you have all these videos of black people.
So you tell but hey, y'all burn down police stations though.
You'll blame that on white people. That's just crazy to me.
I didn't blame that.
Narcissistic.
I think you're confusing. I didn't blame when black people loot on white people. I just said where we learned it from.
And that's narcissistic. I mean, obviously, this is not exclusive.
How old are you? How old are you?
Are you saying? But so are you saying that black people were too stupid to figure out that it's possible to rape and loot and murder without seeing a white person do it first?
You said, is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm asking you a question. Do you think black people were too stupid to realize that it's possible to steal shit and rape and kill people? The idea just never crossed their mind until they saw a white man doing it.
Yeah, y'all. Hey, M&J, y'all evil, man. I just want to point that out first. But what I want to say, is I never said that they never did any of that.
So then how would they have learned it from us if they already knew? If they're already doing it and they already knew about it.
So have you heard of buck breaking? Have you ever heard of that?
Look, I don't want to get sucked into these weird,
wait.
weird bullshit.
It's funny because somebody actually sent that in earlier and I skipped it. But yes.
Yeah, so what I'll show you when you say what did we learn? So when blacks were over here in slavery, white men slept and raped black women. White men raped black men. White men pitted black people against each other. White men killed.
I mean, looking at you, you got some milk in your chocolate, so there probably was a white man that raped a black woman at some point.
Listen, and now he's glorifying rape. You hear that? Now,
I'm not glorifying anything. I didn't say it was probably consensual. It's probably consensual.
A white man is, and I'm gonna tell you how stupid he is. Rape does not qualify pregnancy. A woman can only get pregnant if she's ovulating. Rape does not, even the percentage of having a baby from rape is less than 1%. So if you're gonna speak intelligent. I make this oil. I have a business, right? This is a sidebar. I have an oil and butter business. One of the oils I have is called Unfuckwittable. And my nigga Joel is learning I am unfuckwittable. That's what he's learning right now. There's nothing
you seem kind of buck broken to me, dude, but I don't know.
Show you. I can't show you how ignorant you are. Because when you bring that up, the percentages of rape that go to pregnancy is less than 1%, so your argument is stupid. But to answer the other,
it's not really an argument. I'm just trolling you, man. I'm just trolling you.
To answer the other cat's question, I never said we didn't do it. I just said where we learned it from. And you asked how. Buck breaking.
Yeah, so then the implication, if you learned it from white people, the implication of that statement is that black people were too stupid to even, the thought didn't even occur to them that it was possible to commit crimes until they saw a white man doing it. And they're like, oh, you can commit crimes? Wow, I never thought of that.
Emmett Till's, the white woman lied on Emmett Till. So we even learned lying from y'all.
Oh, because you never, no black man ever lied. Every black man only knew that telling the truth was possible.
You know what we got? You know what we got in America?
The white man can lie. Oh wow, this is revolutionary.
You know what we got in America? We got a reset button of everything we had in Africa because you took it away. You took away culture, identity, name. So you can't take all of that away. And then as we watching you, as we grow up, as we children, watching this nasty oppressor do all the evil things that he's doing to us, and then we learn that culturally. You can learn that genetically. There's a study.
You know what? You still have a slave mindset, man. You still have a slave mindset. You're not actually taking any responsibility for your own agency. You're blaming the white man for your own innate potential.
That's not true, because what I said in the beginning of this conversation, I said, I'm never absolving anybody for what they did. You have to point out the root, and then you create the solution. So me talking about history, he asked me a historical question. So me pointing out history is not me absolving black people for what they do today.
You're saying that the white man taught you how to do these things as if these things aren't inherent, innate human potentials. No. It's all people have the ability to steal, to rape, to murder.
You know, slavery passes down generationally. Now I'm gonna educate you some more. Let's say you take a pregnant woman. Right? And this is a psych study. It said, this is a 2018 review. It said they found that evidence that trauma can be passed between generations epigenetically, which means that trauma experienced by an ancestor might affect the way your genes are expressed. This is a Psych Central. So when you take a woman that's pregnant, right? You take a woman that's pregnant, she got a kid in her stomach, and then she's getting oppressed. Whether it's oppressed or not, let's say if she has a horrible pregnancy, what happens to her happens to the child, and then it passed down. So slavery has genetic principles that have passed down. I just read it. So this ain't about making excuses for what we've done, but this is also not about absolving the killer for what he did to the victims, or the one that kidnapped what he did to the ones that are kidnapped. Because let's say if someone harms someone and you don't want them to get harmed again, you're going to point out the person that did the harm. You're going to teach that person, well, this person's nature is like this. This is what you have to do to avoid them. So when we go out on the street and teach, what we teach is, yeah, the white man did this, but we're doing this today. You shouldn't be a murderer. You shouldn't be a drug dealer. You shouldn't be a homosexual. You shouldn't be none of those things. So we don't justify crime. I'm not like MJ.
This nigga is really teaching. I don't think people's picking up the shit that he's saying, but he's talking about generational trauma. If people don't know what generational trauma is, it's just trauma that was passed on. Even though that we might not go through it, but we still feel the trauma. Because this is what taught us. You know, it's like, look at Colin Kaepernick. Probably came from a good home and all this other crazy shit. He started seeing crazy shit. Trauma. He started seeing the trauma like, yo, what the fuck? Then after that, he started seeing how people were treating him back. And he started, something went off like this and started seeing like, oh, niggas was treating me this back in the days. I don't want to be around these type of people. It's generational trauma. It's just, sometimes it just doesn't come on. It flips on like later on in life. After you start seeing it over and over and over, you're like, yo, what the fuck? Niggas used to do that shit to me. I'm staying away from these niggas, so I don't want to be around these niggas before.
M&J, because he believes in his party, justifies the crime that Trump committed. He feels Trump should have not even gotten arrested. Trump should not have gotten arrested. We'll let you know, he don't even care about the government. The government arrested Trump, and he's against the government that arrested Trump. From my perspective, if Trump was black and committed a crime, he's supposed to get locked up for that crime. He's supposed to get locked up. He's supposed to go to jail, and whatever he's convicted of, he serves out that. Now, if he's not convicted, if he's innocent, then he should be able to go free. So we don't absolve it, but we just point out the person that caused it and the person that's still living it. That's the only way they heal. Facts. A rapist, a victim of rape can't get over being raped until they face the trauma.
It's a pretty big difference, though, between being a homosexual or a murderer and just mishandling some documents, right? Mishandling documents is not of anywhere near the same gravity.
You talk about
deny the political.
He love.
Yeah.
I mean, he love Trump. He love Trump. Look at him. He about to defend that nigga.
Why wouldn't I defend him? Why? Of course I'm going to defend him.
He said, why wouldn't I defend him? Good job. Good job. I think you should, man. Keep going. You're doing a good job.
Yeah. Well, the point is apt. If Trump was a homosexual, I wouldn't be defending that because I would find it detestable. Right. If he's mishandling documents, I don't give a shit. He can mishandle as many documents as he wants. If he wants to, if he didn't do an insurrection, I'm upset. January 6th was cucked. Like, if he actually did overthrow the government and install a Trump dictatorship, that would have been literally the greatest thing ever. Unfortunately, he followed.
There was already something like that. Somebody overthrowing the government. If you ever heard of the Boston Tea Party, the British is coming. The British is coming. They overthrew the government. That's why you got the United States.
Too many laws.
Say that part again, M&J. Say that part again. What you just said. Say that again one more time.
I don't need to say it again. You heard what I said.
Yeah, man. Nah, he on Rumble. They good on Rumble. You can say whatever you want over there. They straight. You keep going. Was you done? Hey, man, I got like 3 more minutes.
That's
bro.
fine. Let's
because it's about the greater good. It's about ultimately a political system. A system of laws is instantiated by political authorities. And if those political authorities are corrupt, which they are in the United States,
what is
presiding over a rate?
Isn't corruption subjective? Because don't they
corrupt?
That's why they think that paperwork he had.
Well, let me list what's wrong with the regime. The regime.
What regime you talking about? Just so we can be clear.
The U.S. government, the current,
the left. Y'all call them the left, right?
Yeah, but I'm against the establishment, the political establishment in the United States. I'm a dissident.
Are you against like Joe Biden? Like Joe Biden and them is white. So are you against them as white, or are you against the political party they represent?
Well, Joe Biden has no loyalty to the white race, so I have no loyalty to him.
So you're against Joe. So you don't like black people. You don't like white people either.
I don't have a problem with black or white people because of their inherent characteristics, but I am loyal to my people, and I have a problem with my fellow whites who aren't loyal to our people.
And loyalty is letting criminals get away with crimes.
No, because the regime itself is criminal.
Yeah,
the regime itself is criminal. So obeying its laws, laws have no sanction fundamentally. You only obey the laws because of the pragmatic necessity to do so.
Laws have no.
If you once a righteous regime is installed, then its laws become worth obeying. Yeah. But this is a regime that says it's legal to kill your own child.
Yeah, this is
in the womb. This is a regime that says homosexuals can get married.
Hey, when Trump was
this is a regime that pays people to get transgender operations.
You abort your baby when Trump was in office.
Yeah, well, I think that's a problem. I'm not a staunch Trump supporter, but it's like the only option on the table relative to other options. But I criticize Trump a lot. I mean, ultimately Trump is zombed, as I said.
I agree with you with abortion and homosexuality. Those core principles. I don't think you're against homosexuality because you're a Catholic, though. I don't really think.
Of course, I'm against.
No.
This is just a pointless rhetorical.
You gotta denounce Catholicism because they molest boys.
I'm not denouncing Catholicism. Catholicism,
a lot of money.
Homosexuality is a sin according to Catholicism.
Not the Roman. Okay, no, it's not. How is homosexuality a sin and they molesting boys, paying them $300 billion? How is it a sin? It's not a sin to them.
I don't understand why you can't understand this principle.
It's a secret.
You know what I'm not going to denounce tonight's show, which has been a lot of fun. And I know we got to wrap, so I want to I'm not going to denounce tonight's show. I'm not going to denounce Captain or Joel. I'm going to let you get the first final word, Captain, and Joel get the second since you led off. But go ahead.
Joel, before I do that, was you an altar boy?
No, I was not an altar boy. I was not raised Catholic.
You better thank God you wasn't an altar boy. You got part of that $3 billion. Hey man, Ralph, I appreciate you having me on this show.
Thank you.
I ain't the one who's still buck broken, man.
I would absolutely look. He touchy. You how you talking about my closing? Why are you talking? It's a closing time now, man.
Go ahead.
What, you want to jab up?
You had to get in a jab first. Go ahead.
You should be thankful for that milk in your chocolate. I'm telling you. Don't become crying to me about being buck broken.
Your time.
Go ahead, Captain.
Your time, man.
Tell them where to find you and tell us anything else you want to tell us here at the end. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
I gave you a whole nickname, man. Be thankful. Yeah, if you want to come to the barbecue, man. Hey, listen. Hey, it's always a pleasure being on Killstream, man. Me and Ralph have known each other maybe about 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
I love being a guest on the show. I love the debates. I love having a conversation. I love the freedom of even having the conversation. So anytime Ralph reaches out to me and want to do a show, I think it's good. Joel, excellent conversation. I appreciate your genuine honesty in the questions that I asked. I look forward if you ever want to have this dialogue again, maybe a different subject or something like that. I'm all for it. I am Captain Tazaryach of ISUBK under Command of General Yohana. And that's my time, and I'm done.
Thank you so much. And you mentioned every couple months. Maybe we'll try to do something again before the summer's over.
Definitely.
Yeah,
before September's over.
Yeah.
I would say maybe in September, let's do something else.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And I appreciate it again for you coming on. I appreciate you coming on as well, Joel Davis. I would consider you a friend, and got to know you a little bit this year. And you were very nice to me during a time when, I was pretty down, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I appreciate that just on a personal level, and I appreciate you doing the show tonight and being generous with your time. And tell people where to find you and what you're working on or anything else here at the end.
Yeah, so you can find me. I have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/@JoelDavisVideos. You can find me on YouTube. I'm also on cozy.tv/Joel Davis. You can also, I have a second YouTube channel, which is directed towards Australian news, a show I do with my colleague, Blair Cottrell.
Okay, that's the end of it. Joel ain't really saying anything, but yo, this has been an interesting reaction. Joel, you could tell he's borderline white supremacist, so I have no problem with white supremacy because I guess them niggas is doing what they supposed to do and stuff like that. You just stay away from them type of niggas, and they try to do something to you. You got the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. So it is what it is, and until next time, have a good, right now, morning. I might go get some sleep, but other than that, have a good day, and probably later on I might do something. I might even put out the other episode of the Roasting podcast. So definitely keep up to date on certain things. Have a good night.